6 months had slipped by since Konohagakure faced near ruin, the village saved but left divided in memory. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, laid down his life to end the rampage of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, and in doing so, he was forever praised as the village's greatest champion. Yet on the opposite end of this legacy stood Naruto Uzumaki, only an infant of 6 months, burdened as the living vessel of the beast. Already the blonde child carried the villagers' hatred, scorned, feared, assaulted, and nearly slain time and time again. Why, you may ask, do I speak of these things? How could I know, when the third Hokage himself swore secrecy over the boy's heritage and decreed that any word of his burden be punished with death? Because I am none other than the Kyuubi no Kitsune, the mightiest of demons, ruler among Biju. Yet here I am, caged and bound, as powerless as the child who imprisons me. This, however, is my tale to narrate. So listen carefully, mortal, as I reveal what I have begun to do to ensure my survival within this cursed seal. Unlike most of my kind who succumbed to slumber after being bound, I remained awake, conscious, remembering every instant of my imprisonment. Even I, who bow to no one, admit I trembled before the Shinigami's presence and the man who summoned him. That human earned my respect, a rare gift I pass on to his only son, who now serves as both my jailer and my lifeline. Only half a year has gone by since that night, and already I've had to mend injuries no newborn should ever endure. Burns, stabbings, shattered bones, damage to his mind, forced seals on his chakra, even wounds straight through his heart. Still, today is different. Today I begin not only to heal, but to improve him. The longer he survives, the longer I persist, and so I will make his fragile form stronger than ever. Their cruelty will break him, but my hand will forge him into something greater. Each scar I will turn into strength, each injury into an advantage. Already, once again, they have tried to kill him as if he were the effigy of my defeat. And once again, I must labor to save us both. Leave me now, for I have work to do if I intend for him, and therefore myself, to endure. 3 years later again, I have refined my prison. Mortals cannot tell a demon sealed in flesh from one sealed in scroll, and so they keep coming for him. But I have tempered him beyond their reach. His bones now resist breaking from any hand lacking chakra. His skin itself carries resilience. My greatest pride, however, lies in the countless assaults from the Uchiha. I studied their eyes, their gifts, and I bestowed one fragment of their legacy upon my host. He can now mimic jutsu he witnesses, and with sacrifice, even manipulate raw energy itself. Yet I will not hand him mastery freely. He must earn it, as I once did. They took his hearing. I restored it sharper than ever. They crushed his mind. I rebuilt it until it surpassed genius. And all the while, they remained blind to what I was weaving. Let them remain ignorant, for the harvest of their cruelty will one day fall upon them. Even now I stir a dormant legacy within him, one left by his mother. Yes, I know, for once I too was sealed within her. The Kachiku bloodline dense, heavy chakra. I am nurturing it, shaping it. It shall be his weapon, and my key to rebirth. This, I consider my due for all I have given him. Soon enough, I will reveal myself to him and push him onto the path of the shinobi. After that, his choices will decide how he honors our pact. 3 years later, Naruto, it was during the festival. As always, he was told to remain inside, never to step out on this night, his birthday. He thought it unfair. Why should he be caged away while others celebrated? True, the villagers always tried to hurt him, but lately they couldn't harm him as they once had. He didn't know why, but he was glad for it. Even at 6, he was aware of the names they hurled at him, though he didn't fully understand them. He had taught himself to read, to write, to handle money, and now lived in a small apartment the old Hokage had granted him. "Screw it, I'm going," he muttered, locking the door and slipping into the festival crowds. He admired the booths, the dolls of the yondames strung up as prizes. For a time, he almost felt like any other child, until drunken villagers noticed him. "Kill the demon! Finish the fourth's work! Stay away from me!" The mob gave chase, pelting him with bottles, blades, and stones. His small frame let him dart through the crowd, and the hidden changes in his body let him endure more than before. Still, he collided with a figure who glared down with crimson eyes, the Sharingan fully ablaze. "How dare such filth touch me?" the man sneered. Naruto's eyes burned as hand seals flashed, and then fire engulfed him. He screamed in agony, until cold water drenched him and chaos erupted. His final memory before blacking out was being lifted into gentle arms, carried swiftly through the night. "Mindscape, boy, step forward." The voice echoed as he awoke in a tunnel lit by faint, flickering light. Strangely, he felt no pain. Drawn by the presence, his small steps carried him into a chamber where towering bars sealed away a colossal figure of burning crimson fur. "Kyuyubai," he whispered. The beast laughed, lowering its head. "Alive and dead, both at once. Your fourth Hawkage sealed me into you. It was the only way to end me. For 6 years I have been bound here, and in that time I have kept you alive. Every time they tried to break you, I mended you. Every time they sought your death, I made you stronger, faster, smarter. You are what you are because of me." Naruto's legs gave out as he fell back, overwhelmed. The demon chuckled. "You still don't see it. We are within your mind, within the seal. I hear your thoughts, little one. But listen closely, for time is short. You will learn to be a shinobi. First, you must control your chakra. You hold more than most in this pathetic village, because my own bleeds into you through the seal. But my strength is dwindling. I've spent too much preserving us. I must sleep to restore myself." One of the fox's tails dimmed as he spoke. "My chakra will still heal you, but that is all for now. From here, you must train and someday repay what I have given. Do not speak of me to anyone until I wake. Use my gifts wisely. Become a true shinobi, not a fool waving tricks around. Now go, the old ones are growing restless." With that, a massive tail swept him back into the tunnel, sending him spiraling out of the dream as the fox curled into slumber. Real-world Hawkage's office, 2 aged men sat in discussion, their topic revolving around the blonde boy who still lay unconscious yet healing. "He's 6 now, sensei. If we start his training, he'll be ready for the academy in a few years. Even if we can't lean on his father's legacy, his mother's clan had knowledge to pass down." The speaker, broad and imposing, was none other than Jirya of the Sannin. The third Hawkage exhaled heavily. "Jirya, I will not allow him to learn such skills until he earns the rank of genin. That decision will not change." He lifted a hand to silence his former pupil's protest. "But if the boy himself wishes, he can begin with basics on his own." The weight of age pressed on the old man's voice. Jirya scowled. "Basics won't save him next time. Let him study taijutsu, his mother's style and sealing. It'll sharpen his body, his mind, and give him the means to defend himself." He leaned forward, almost pleading. Sarutobi leaned back heavily in his chair, exhaling slowly. He knew he was failing in his attempt to give the boy a normal life. "When he wakes, we'll ask if he even wants to start training. If his answer is no, we'll drop the matter entirely. But if he chooses this path, then I'll only allow him to study taijutsu, sealing, and the basics. Nothing more. For now, let's get him some fresh clothes and a meal." With that, the 2 men left the office, assuming the boy asleep on the couch hadn't stirred. Naruto, however, was silent, not from sleep, but because his mind was still reeling from the truth that the beast had been sealed inside him. He clenched his fists. "Like hell, I'm not going to be a ninja. Even he wants me to walk that road." Slowly his eyes opened, blinking as he pushed himself up stiffly. The blonde glanced around the familiar room where he had often stayed after injuries or just to talk with the old man. Today, something unusual caught his eye. "That shelf wasn't here before," he muttered, curiosity dragging him toward it. Resting, there was a massive scroll. Casting a glance around, he lifted it carefully and unrolled it. The forbidden scroll of Konohagakure contained within are techniques too dangerous for ordinary shinobi. He stopped at that line and smirked. "I won't be ordinary. I'll surpass them all, with or without their help." After all, the only one who had ever offered him strength was the fox, even if it was for its own reasons. Determined, he read on. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, a high-level technique that creates solid clones capable of interacting with the world. Each duplicate shares a portion of the user's chakra and can be used for training, surveillance, and combat. Knowledge gained by the clones returns to the original upon dispersal. Warning. Chakra division and memory feedback can cause dangerous strain if mismanaged." Naruto grinned. "This could be perfect, especially with what the Kyuubi told me." He studied the seals carefully, memorizing every detail. As he went to roll the scroll shut, another entry grabbed his attention. Chakra control threads, more commonly called chakra strings, these are used to manipulate weapons or retrieve items. In their true form, however, they can control another person's body by inserting chakra into them. With enough focus, the threads may also function like wires in combat. Their application is limited only by the user's creativity. Warning: using this technique on a living target can cause severe chakra depletion or backlash as the energies clash until one dominates or severs the link. Naruto's eyes narrowed in interest. Definitely something useful. He absorbed the instructions, noting that it required fine chakra control, and stored the knowledge in his memory before putting the scroll back where he found it. Quickly, he rushed back to the couch as the office doors opened. The Hokage and Jiraiya stepped in carrying new clothes and food. "Ah, Naruto, you're awake," Sarutobi said, placing a tray on the couch. "I'm disappointed you left after I told you to remain indoors tonight." "Yeah, but Oji-chan, it's my birthday," Naruto replied while digging into the food. "Even though I know the real reason now. Ramen didn't compare to this, but it was all he usually could afford." "I understand, my boy," the Hokage said gently, glancing at Jiraiya. "But I must ask you something important. You don't have to answer yes, but do you wish to become a shinobi one day?" Naruto nearly inhaled the food in his rush. "Of course I do, old man." Jiraiya chuckled at the sight. It was almost poetic. The child of those two could never dream of being anything else, and with guidance, he could become something extraordinary. "Are you certain?" Sarutobi pressed. Naruto nodded firmly. "Then you'll need to work harder than most. You still have 3 years before the academy, so you'll be training independently until then." The Hokage placed several scrolls beside the now empty tray. These contain the essentials: chakra control, shinobi rules and conduct, and basic physical and weapons training. Finally, he set down another scroll. "This last one is a taijutsu style once belonging to your mother. Place your blood on the seal to unlock it. I don't know its nature, but it is yours to inherit." Naruto beamed, pretending to be in awe. "This is awesome. I'll be the greatest ninja ever, even better than you, Jiji." The two older men exchanged knowing smiles, remembering another blonde who had once said the very same words. "The final thing," Sarutobi continued, "is something Jiraiya wishes to teach you personally. He'll explain at your home." Naruto's apartment hours later, Jiraiya sat with Naruto, going over workouts and the use of chakra weights. Then he handed the boy a massive scroll labeled Fuinjutsu. "This contains nearly everything I know about sealing. Learn it level by level and never rush. A failed seal can be catastrophic, believe me." "All right, I'll start tomorrow. Thanks for the clothes too, though I wish they were orange." Not really, but he doesn't need to know that, Naruto thought. Looking over the materials, he knew it would take at least 3 years to master the basics. "But once I use the cage bunshin, I'll move much faster. That'll be my secret." "Good kid," Jiraiya said with a stretch. "I'll be back in 3 years to see your progress. Impress me, and I might teach you something special. Always keep the weights on unless you're completely outclassed." He tugged up his sleeve, showing his own. "Haven't taken these off in years." With a grin, he leapt out the window, leaving Naruto alone to prepare. Day the blonde eagerly unrolled the taijutsu scroll, a fox-like grin forming. "This style is incredible, but I'll have to adjust my training completely." Unlike Jiraiya's strength-focused routine, this style emphasized balance, muscle, speed, and flexibility all at once. Too much muscle, it warned, would weaken the other two. Afterward, he studied the shinobi codes and conduct scroll for hours, committing every word to memory. Even contradictions were stored away. He realized then another gift the fox had given him, an eidetic memory. He didn't mind. Satisfied, he moved on to chakra control, unrolling a dry, boring section titled What Chakra Is, Why It's Used, and What Can Go Wrong. Still, he absorbed it all. The exercises were listed in tiers. Tier 1, Academy Low Genin Leaf Balance Kunai Balance Senbin Balance. Tier 2, Chunin/Jonin Tree, Walking Water Walking Air Pads. Tier 3, Medic Level Pooling Shaping Conversion Elemental Chunin/Jonin Leaf. See Elemental Scrolls for more. Each section had a seal beside it. Touching the first, Naruto felt a pull on his chakra, unlocking the notes. "Guess I need to progress step by step to access more," he chuckled. "Smart move, old man. I probably would have skipped straight to the hardest otherwise." Determined, he began his training, already plotting when to unleash the cage bunshin into the mix. Year later, seated cross-legged in the center of the room, the young blonde shinobi in training concentrated on his chakra flow. If one looked closely, they would notice countless thin needles rising upright from his skin, more gradually lifting until they pointed straight outward. At this point, Naruto resembled a glowing porcupine, the faint blue hue around each needle being the only sign that they weren't actually embedded in his body. With precision, he guided them to hover, a nearly transparent thread of chakra keeping each one tethered to him. After finishing the initial stages of his practice, Naruto began working with chakra threads. He was determined to refine them, since repeated use would only sharpen his control and expand his mastery of chakra. He also discovered that splitting his focus across multiple tasks made him stronger, especially once he realized just how vast his chakra reserves really were, reserves that seemed to grow larger each passing day. Alongside this, his studies in Fuinjutsu had already taught him numerous sealing techniques and tricks. Each day, he would read through one scroll, then devote an extra hour reviewing all prior lessons, accelerating his growth far beyond what anyone could have imagined. 3 hours of daily study went into seals, another 2 into handwriting drills to perfect his strokes for inscriptions, 3 more were dedicated to conditioning his body, and another 3 solely for chakra control. Meals and brief moments of leisure filled what was left, forming the strict routine Naruto had followed since embarking on this journey. When the last needle vanished, Naruto grinned to himself. Finally, first tier done. He silently hoped the Kyuubi would be proud once it awoke. It was depressing that the only companion he had was the beast sealed within him, but for now, he preferred devoting himself to training over worrying about companionship. Once he enrolled at the academy in 2 years, things would surely change. Rolling open the scroll's next section, he decided he would continue indoors for the time being. After all, he could practice both walls and ceilings this way. Another thought sparked in his head, making him chuckle aloud. What if I train tree walking, then redo Tier 1 while staying on the wall? That'd force me to divide my focus even more. Yeah, that should work. The grin that spread on his face showed his excitement. This was going to pay off. Year passes, now 8 years old, Naruto's body had begun to show the results of his relentless training. Standing shirtless in a forgotten field on the edge of the village, his lean frame revealed muscles honed by effort rather than bulk, sleek, defined, and feline-like. He now reached nearly 5 feet in height, golden hair longer than before and tied back, though his bangs still framed his face. The last hints of childhood roundness clung to his cheeks. Lowering into a stance, he moved fluidly through a kata. Each transition was precise, his body flowing like a predator in motion. He was following the techniques of the Uzukan style, every strike and step conserving energy. 6 months earlier, after the Uchiha clan massacre, Naruto had doubled his training. In his eyes, the clan's fall had been less tragedy and more inevitability, save for one exception, Itachi. The prodigy had saved Naruto from his kin more than once, and that single kindness had earned Naruto's respect. Driven by this, Naruto's real training remained a secret. Outwardly, he still acted as the loud, clueless boy the village thought him to be. That mask worked well, letting him observe unnoticed. He'd recently discovered he could replicate techniques he witnessed, though unlike the Uchiha, he couldn't instantly reproduce them. Instead, he studied them patiently, internalizing each movement until it was his own. He valued every advantage and pushed himself all the harder. As his body flowed through the style's motions, his clones labored nearby on the air pads technique, an ability allowing a shinobi to step across the air itself. Few ever bothered with it, but Naruto's perfectionist nature refused to ignore even the smallest skill. A separate group of clones worked on seal designs of his own making, inspired by his containment seal. He planned to test them on himself, but perhaps later offer simplified versions to clans in exchange for favors or funds. The complete array would split his chakra into 2 identical reserves, with an additional seal creating duplicate pathways. If successful, it meant one set of reserves would remain purely his own, untouched by the Kyuubi's influence. That small change, he thought, would be his gift to the fox. After finishing his exercises, sweat dripping down his skin, Naruto sat cross-legged and pulled out the final sealing scroll in his possession. Memorizing it would elevate his knowledge close to a Sanin's, at least theoretically. From there, the only way forward would be constant practice and invention. As the sun sank toward the horizon, Naruto closed the scroll and found himself restless. Between chakra control drills, taijutsu, and the time gained through his clones, he had more hours than he knew what to do with. Meditating, he pondered the core paths of a shinobi, ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, and kenjutsu. But there were also sealing arts, puppetry, medical ninjutsu, and the specialized styles unique to clans. His focus broke at the sound of a faint whimper. Opening his eyes, Naruto spotted a small silver-furred creature stumbling toward him, its coat matted with blood. Rising slowly, he approached carefully. "Easy now, I'm not going to hurt you," he murmured. Cradling the trembling form, he saw it was a fox kit with puncture wounds. Alone, injured, and vulnerable, it would die if left behind. Naruto made his choice instantly. He would care for it, train it, perhaps even raise it to fight alongside him, much like the Inuzuka did with their dogs. But first, it needed real medical attention. Handing off tasks to his clones, he ordered, "When you finish, one of you bring everything back home. The rest dispel." With the kid in his arms, he sprinted toward the Inuzuka compound, where the village's only veterinarian resided. Veterinary office pushing through the door, Naruto called out, "Hello, I need some help." A girl a few years older entered, trailed by 3 ninkin. "What's going on? I'm Hana," she introduced herself. Naruto carefully placed the fox on the counter. "I found him while training. Looks like something attacked him. I just don't want him to die." His voice wavered, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Hana's expression softened as she examined the kit, murmuring under her breath before letting pale green chakra glow around her hands. She healed the worst of the injuries, then straightened. "He's stable now. I'll give you antibiotics and some supplements, normally for our dogs, but they should work. The only side effect might be that he grows larger than usual." She chuckled lightly at Naruto's relieved smile. "Bring him back once you're out of pills. I'd like to monitor him anyway for study." Naruto hesitated. "I don't really have the money," she waved him off. "It's fine. I'm training as a vet, so caring for him will count as practice. And honestly, helping someone with a heart like yours is payment enough." She smiled warmly. Grinning, Naruto gathered the tiny fox into his arms. "Sharuba," he said softly, glancing from the kit to Hana. "That's his name, Sharuba." "I like it," Hana replied with a smile. "It fits him perfectly, especially if that silver coat stays when he grows up. Just remember, I'm usually only here on weekends, but you should have enough medicine for about a month." 6 months later Naruto and Sharuba were inside his apartment. The silver fox lounged in his basket while the blonde sat cross-legged, his body marked with glowing runes and intricate lines from the trial array. The last clone double-checked everything, making sure both layers of seals matched perfectly before dispersing. "Boss, all clear. Just this is going to hurt like hell." Naruto already knew that, though his clones had developed their own quirks and commentary. Pressing his palms onto the activation formula, he pushed his chakra into it, causing the etchings to ignite in a bright blue light before sinking into his skin. Pain struck instantly as his channels were torn apart, expanded, then repaired, his reserves duplicated into 2 mirrored halves, both equal in size but only half-filled. One pool shimmered with a dark violet hue from the Kyuubi's taint, while the other glowed a deep, clean blue. It was over within moments, though Naruto saw every detail as his eyes shot open when the last of the array vanished beneath his flesh. "Well," he groaned, making Sharuba lift his head, "that actually worked better than expected. No chakra use until tomorrow, though. Anyway, it's time you visited Hanani-chan." Sharuba yipped in delight, bounding to him. Naruto chuckled as the fox licked his cheek. "You really like her more than me, don't you?" The pair slipped through the back streets of the village, avoiding attention until they reached Hana's office. "Hana, Sharuba, and I are here," Naruto called, his voice carrying into the back. Hana's trio of hounds burst out barking before dashing back to drag their mistress out. "Well, look who showed up," Hana greeted warmly, smiling as Naruto placed Sharuba on the counter. With a quick sequence of hand seals, she performed a diagnostic scan and unrolled her records on him. He's developing faster than normal, which makes sense with those pills, but it also looks like he's around you constantly while you're using chakra. Naruto simply nodded, well aware that interrupting her usually earned him a bruising punch. Hana smirked, more amused than surprised. I didn't expect this, but he's becoming more of a ninfox than a regular animal. Her tone turned serious. You'll need to start channeling chakra directly into him to complete the bond. Trust me, it'll make the connection stronger. Just pour in as much as you can. Focus on merging the two of you together when you do it. She handed over 3 more pills, one each week. After the last one, the process should be done. Hana winked playfully. Bring him back so I can see how he turns out. End of 3 weeks today was the final day Hana had mentioned. For 3 weeks, aside from his clone training, Naruto had sat with Sharuba on his lap every day, steadily funneling chakra into the fox until he collapsed. He wasn't sure if he was doing it correctly, but Hana had told him to give everything he could, and he did, enough to power a small village for months. Both reserves flowed into the fox, meaning Sharuba was absorbing the Kyuubi's energy too. It showed. The kit grew larger, more muscular, mirroring Naruto's own physical growth. Their lives had become nothing but this routine: chakra infusion, food, baths, and sleep. As he pushed energy into Sharuba one last time, exhaustion swept over both of them. Their bodies sank into slumber, surrounded by a dark blue aura that wrapped around them before merging into their cores. By morning, Naruto woke to Sharuba's excited yips. Let's go see Hana-chan. Raising a brow, he looked at his partner, now the size of a grown fox. Whoa, guess you're going to get massive. Sharuba padded over, tail swishing. Eat first, then shower, Tusan. He nuzzled Naruto's leg. Naruto blinked. Tusan? Seriously? Shaking his head, he whipped up breakfast, then washed before heading out. At Hana's office, she scanned Sharuba again. Hana-chan's thinking too much. Naruto laughed, earning a confused glance from Hana. What's funny? Sharuba says you're overthinking, Naruto explained. Her eyes widened before she grinned brightly, scribbling notes into her scroll. You really understand him? She quickly asked. How much chakra did you feed him every day? Other than meals, sleep, or a shower, pretty much all the time, Naruto answered honestly. Her jaw dropped. Rushing over, she scanned him again, and her eyes bulged. Your reserves are enormous. You drained yourself to unconsciousness every day. He nodded like it was no big deal. That's insane, she scribbled furiously. You're years ahead of where anyone in my clan was at your age. On top of that, Sharuba kept a massive portion of your chakra and adapted to it. If you two figure out a way for him to use and control that chakra, you could even invent joint techniques. Honestly, this bond could rival a new clan of your own, especially if he ever bred. Naruto snorted. Not interested in grandkids, I'm too young. Hana laughed. Why not? He calls me Tusan. Her jaw fell open before she quickly jotted more notes. That explains why the bond advanced so fast. But listen, after today, you're on your own. Officially, I only helped with his health, nothing else. Got it? Her hounds barked, relaying messages only she understood. Naruto sensed she was close to spilling clan secrets. I understand, but I can still bring him for checkups or if he gets hurt, right? Of course. 50 ryo for visits, more if treatments are needed. She winked subtly, signaling that this was just a cover. Her hounds warned her that her mother was asking about missing bonding pills for Kiba. Naruto sighed. Guess I'll only see you every few months if we're lucky. He felt a little down. Hana was one of the few he could call a friend. A few months later, all right, Sharuba, I'll place the same seals on you as I did for myself. That way you'll match me. Sound good? Naruto said while preparing ink and brushes, sketching arrays onto paper since fur wasn't practical for fine lines. Yes, then I can try those training exercises, like running up trees, right? Sharuba barked, making Naruto laugh. Maybe some of my personality rubbed off on you. Sure, but no chakra for a day afterward, it'll hurt. The fox nodded, lying still until Naruto finished adjusting the array to fit him. Hours later, Naruto applied the seal by pressing the paper onto Sharuba, activating it. He watched, fascinated, as the symbols spread across fur and into skin, chakra leaking out and swirling around. His partner's energy was nearly identical to his own, dark blue with flecks of silver, while Naruto's had streaks of red. When it was over, Naruto slipped him a sedative to rest, then grabbed scrolls of basic elemental jutsu. Now at a medic's level of control, he wanted to discover his natural affinity by practicing one of each element. Meanwhile, he reflected on how Sharuba had been progressing. The fox easily learned chakra control, blended into taijutsu patterns, and even used chakra-based strikes. Their fighting style, Yuzuken, shared similarities with the Hyugas, but instead of sealing tenketsu, it widened pathways and damaged muscles and joints. Sharuba, thinking like Naruto, even figured out how to channel chakra through muzzle, paws, and tail. He infused his tail for brutal strikes and learned crude energy manipulation. Naruto grinned at the thought of developing seal-less tricks together. One thing was certain, the silver-haired duo would have more than a few deadly surprises. Day before the academy, Naruto had been summoned by the Hokage to meet with him and Jirya at the office. Carrying the copied scrolls he had made, and with Sharuba by his side, he hurried to the tower and made his way to the old man's office. "We're here, Jiji," Naruto said as he slipped inside. Nobody in the building had noticed his arrival. He had been dressed in muted gray and blue since that day 3 years ago. The Hokage glanced up from the papers on his desk, surprised at how much Naruto's appearance had changed. But then again, 3 years of hard training, combined with Jirya's drills, would do that. What puzzled him was the we part, until his eyes fell on the silver fox calmly sitting by Naruto's side. "Naruto, where and when did you find that?" "Oh, I saved Sharuba nearly a year ago. He's my nin fox." Naruto gestured, and Sharuba darted up the wall, leapt off, and landed gracefully on his shoulder. "We've been training together, and he's part of my taijutsu style now." Naruto flashed a grin that resembled his fox companion and chuckled. At that moment, Jirya came in through the window. "So, the brat's here already, huh? Guess that means it's time," the Sannin remarked casually. The Hokage nodded. "Indeed. Naruto, we wanted to see what you've managed to learn, and if there's anything you wish to put more focus on." Naruto smiled, deciding not to mention his use of chakra threads or shadow clones just yet. The threads alone allowed him to control multiple things at once, thanks to his practice with Senbin. "I've mastered both tree climbing and water walking. I also finished working through the sealing scrolls Jirya-sama left behind." Jirya nearly dropped his jaw at that statement, while the Hokage didn't quite grasp the weight of it. "I've also learned every academy-level technique, plus 1 D-rank jutsu for each element," Naruto continued proudly. "And Sharuba can channel chakra into his body now. He's managed to climb trees with it." Jirya frowned, not quite believing it. "Brat, what's the hardest seal you've made?" "That would be my Uzumaki sealing art, twin chakra vortex." Naruto grinned, clearly proud. "Show me," Jirya demanded. Naruto pulled out a scroll and revealed the array he had drawn. He left out some unnecessary parts, like the extra chakra coils, but the design still created a secondary reserve. This had given him unique benefits, such as forming one-handed seals and even launching 2 chakra-based jutsu at once. Jirya studied the boy's handwriting, the seal diagram, the explanations, and the logic behind it. He was stunned. It was even more ingenious than Minato's work. "Kid, do you even realize what this thing can do?" "Yeah, I've already been using it, but I thought it could also help people with chakra illnesses or anyone forced to constantly give away chakra. It might save them." Naruto spoke casually, not noticing the look Jirya gave him when he admitted he had applied it on himself. "Why bother? Your reserves were already huge," the older man asked. Naruto shrugged, lying slightly. "Because I discovered the dead demon seal on my stomach. It keeps leaking chakra into my system, making control impossible. So I only trained 1 set of reserves and let the leaking energy filter into it." The Hokage finally realized what Naruto had pieced together. "Naruto, how long have you known about the seal?" "Since about 2 weeks into chakra control training. Took me another year to figure out what it really was." His voice grew bitter. "When I add that to how the villagers treat me, and the fact that a certain demon attacked on my birthday, well, it's pretty obvious I'm holding the Kyubai's chakra." The 2 elders shared a worried look, but Naruto cut them off. "Don't, what's done is done, and neither of you can change it. I've got people who care about me now, and that's enough." His smile was faint but firm. "Anyway, since I'm starting at the academy tomorrow, I need Sharuba officially registered as my companion. And maybe, I'd like to learn something new." He looked directly at Jirya, reminding him of his promise. The Toad Sage observed Naruto and his fox. Many old-fashioned shinobi would despise such a partnership, but that only made Jirya more certain it was the right path. Besides, if the Uzumaki had a knack for seals, maybe this bond was part of it too. I did promise to show you something cool if you impressed me, Jirya said, but some things will have to wait until you're older. He pulled a slip of chakra paper from his pocket and handed it over. Channel your chakra into this. It'll reveal your affinity. Naruto focused his energy into the page. At first nothing happened, then the edges began to drip water, soaking it completely, before the sheet split clean down the middle. Tiny crystals formed along the tier and spread across the paper's surface. Wind and water, but that last one isn't ice, Naruto muttered, confused. The Hokage smiled knowingly. You are correct on wind and water. As for the crystals, they come from your mother's bloodline, what we called kachaku, or dense chakra. It lets you solidify your chakra into near-tangible form. And by the looks of it, you've already reached the second stage of the bloodline. Your chakra condenses naturally, making it take less energy to use jutsu. Put in the same amount as others, and your techniques will be overwhelming, or in the case of clones, far more durable than normal. Naruto blinked, stunned. So basically, all my jutsu are gonna be insane, the two men chuckled. Pretty much, Sarutobi admitted. Unfortunately, we don't have more details, your mother never got to explain fully. But in the scroll I gave you, there's an exercise with leaves. One test is slicing it cleanly, like with wind, and another is soaking it with water. Practice both. Jirya rummaged in his pack and tossed Naruto a couple of scrolls. Here. Some wind and water techniques I picked up during my travels. Can't use them myself. My affinities are earth and fire. They're ranked and include notes on how I've seen them used. Naruto's grin widened as he glanced at Sharuba. We'll master these too, right Tusan? He patted the fox's head. With my reserves and control training, C rank should be my limit for now, right? Sarutobi nodded. Correct. But never underestimate the simpler techniques. He chuckled to himself. If the boy keeps growing like this, I may actually get to retire sooner. Take your time with them. Now, another reason we called you here, you know how the villagers treat you. That prejudice will follow you into the academy, both from students and possibly instructors. Jirya leaned in. What he's saying, kid, is they'll probably try to sabotage you. They might teach you things the wrong way, refuse to help, or even hand you fake or harder tests. He gave Naruto options. So, we can handle this 3 ways. You attend normally but report here monthly for proper evaluations. We disguise you and send you in as someone else. Or, you go in as yourself and face the bias head-on without interference. Naruto looked at Sharuba. He knew his fox wouldn't leave his side and was already becoming smarter every day, learning to use chakra in new ways. That gave Naruto an idea for more seals to design. We'll deal with it head-on. Jiji, that shinobi handbook you gave me said deception is a shinobi's greatest skill, and the mind is our strongest weapon. I'll just need access to the library without being thrown out. The Hokage gave a faint, weary smile. Then whenever you need a place to study, you may use my library instead. It should prove more useful in the long run. Besides, either I or Asuma can guide you when we're available, especially since he also uses wind techniques like you. That's settled then, but you said there was another reason you called me here, Naruto asked, with the small fox giving a sharp yip as if backing him up. Yes, and it ties into what I mentioned earlier. We have suspicions that one of your upcoming instructors may harbor more than simple dislike toward you. I want you to watch them closely and report their behavior to me. I won't reveal who it is, so you'll need to sharpen your observation skills during class. He disliked involving Naruto in this, but the boy was the only one he trusted with the task. Truthfully, you could graduate this year, he lifted his hand, but instead I'm assigning you this as a mission. I want you to remain at the academy for 4 years. That means intentionally failing the graduation test twice. He studied Naruto's reaction as the boy considered it. Naruto thought through the consequences. Playing the part of dead last for that long would eventually pair him with either a natural prodigy or someone striving to be one. It also meant he'd be older than most of his teammates, since he had started early but would finish later. I'll do it, on one condition. Promise me I won't be placed on the Uchiha's squad, no matter the rankings or any request from their sensei. That caught the Hokage by surprise, as he had hoped Naruto would be partnered with Sasuke, and Kakashi would certainly dislike this restriction since his only agreement to teach was tied to mentoring the Uchiha heir. And why do you insist on that? Naruto gave a bitter laugh. Because most of the times I was attacked, it was by Uchiha. And I won't risk my abilities being copied by those cursed eyes of theirs. Jiraiya nearly laughed aloud, amused by how bluntly the blonde expressed his opinion of the council's favoritism toward the clan. Sarutobi only sighed, already foreseeing the headache. He knew Naruto was ahead of his peers, while Kakashi's lateness and bias toward Sasuke would cause endless problems. I'll do what I can, but if you do get placed there anyway, is there something else you'd want? Naruto glanced at his small companion, then back at the two men. Make sure Sharuba is officially recognized and treated as an Inuzuka ninja hound before I graduate. He smiled faintly at his kit before looking between Jiraiya and the Hokage. And I'll think of another demand if it comes to that. That answer eased Sarutobi's concern, since he knew such a placement might be unavoidable. That I can arrange. And since you've agreed to the mission, it will be classified as a long-term C-rank assignment. Payment will be issued monthly, for both you and Sharuba. Few knew that Inuzuka companions received pay just like shinobi, which made the clan wealthier than most realized, though they rarely flaunted it. Once the terms were set, they talked further about Naruto's progress while filling out paperwork to register Sharuba as a ninkitsune. That had been Naruto's idea, since foxes couldn't normally wield chakra while kitsune could. If the old myths were accurate, as the existence of Biju proved, then his partner might eventually grow another tail. They even checked Sharuba for elemental affinity, and to their surprise, the little fox tested positive for both Raiten and Suten. They gave Naruto a scroll on Raiten usage so he could learn how to guide his companions safely through it, as reckless handling could be fatal. When the boy and his partner finally left, the office grew quiet. Jiraiya broke the silence after a while. Sensei, that kid is uncanny. At one moment he's as intense as his mother, the next he's carefree like his father. And with the demons sealed inside him showing no sign of activity, I'm beginning to wonder if it's even alive in there. He unrolled a scroll that a toad had brought him, the key to the seal, and studied it. It shows he's still receiving the fox's chakra, but there hasn't been any fluctuation in nearly 4 years. He pointed at a section of the seal array. It's like he stopped drawing on it altogether, relying only on his own chakra. He unrolled another scroll, one Naruto had crafted, a reserve split seal, and examined it carefully. This brat only channels the fox's chakra into a single reserve, keeping his other one pure. He drains from the clean side, but since both reserves are linked, they keep expanding anyway. He pointed to a filtering mechanism on the seal. This part lets him replenish the empty reserve with his own chakra while leaving the demon's energy untouched, slowing its influence. The two older men shared a rare look of realization. So the kid's reserves are entirely his own, without any boost from the fox. The seal even makes the chakra flow one way. The only way to pull this off would be to either have 2 complete sets of coils, or, Jiraiya's eyes widened as he studied it further. Sensei, this isn't the whole seal. I'd wager Naruto created a layered array that split his coils into 2 connected systems. Look here, these marks line up perfectly with a separation seal. That would practically eliminate chakra exhaustion for him and allow him to switch between energies without ruining his control. I was wrong. This boy's talent in sealing could even surpass his father's. Sarutobi listened with interest. He wasn't a master, but he understood enough of the art to know the significance. And he knew exactly who might benefit most from such a seal. He summoned an ANBU and ordered a message sent to Shibai. As he turned back to Jiraiya, he couldn't help but find it amusing that a boy had outpaced even one of the legendary Sannin in theory. Creativity, after all, was the heart of Fuinjutsu. Before long, Shibai entered and found both men studying a scroll. "You summon me, Lord Hokage?" he asked calmly, drawing their attention. "Yes, I needed your input before making a decision." The Hokage gestured to a chair, and once Shibai sat, slid the array across the desk. "One of Jiraiya's pupils has designed this seal, and I believe your clan could benefit from it greatly." He handed over Naruto's notes and explanations. Shibai silently read through it, consulting with the queen of his hive. After some deliberation, he finally spoke. If I understand correctly, this would essentially double our chakra capacity while dividing it into two separately usable halves. Jirya nodded. Exactly. Both halves remain functional, and when one runs low, the seal draws from the other to refill it. It's no wonder Sensei called you. I'm sure the Gaki had your clan in mind when he built it. The Hokage added. He did mention it was intended for a clan. And knowing him, yes, the Aburame were the ones. He's been testing it on himself for a year already. He never asked for recognition or payment, either. Shibai considered their words carefully. His hive agreed. The seal would allow his Kikaichu to feed from one reserve while leaving the other untouched, effectively doubling his supply without weakening him. This is a most generous offering. If I or my clan could extend gratitude to its creator, I would like to do so. Jirya smirked. Uzumaki Naruto. I've been teaching him sealing for 3 years now. Don't make a show of it, though. He doesn't need the extra spotlight. Shibai inclined his head. Very well. It will remain private, but within my clan he will be considered one of us in every respect. I'll personally inform him tonight and begin arrangements for the seal. And I'll see that a hive is prepared for him as well, though his age means they cannot bond immediately. With that, he bowed, took the scroll, and departed to ready his clan for the gift. That night Naruto sat cross-legged in the middle of his small apartment, the room surrounded by seals of his own making. Most of the furniture had been scavenged, beaten, and nearly broken, but with a mixture of repair seals and a few henge-based ones, everything looked uniform and sturdy. To him, it was more than just comfort, it was practice. Every piece was another experiment toward his greater sealing projects, and he took pride in the clean, polished appearance of his home. Even the potted plants had seals etched into them, ensuring automatic watering and nutrient supply. He constantly tested how far he could stretch the potential of seals, yet hadn't reached the limit. At that moment, he was sketching ideas for a hand seal's seal, something he intended for his partner. A knock at the door pulled his attention away. Standing, he tapped the word etched onto the wood, acting like a one-way mirror to check who it was. Seeing no angry mob or threatening figure, he slid it open. "Can I help you, Aburame-sama?" The tall man glanced down at Naruto, who wasn't much older than his own son. "Yes. Though may I step inside first?" His tone was calm and flat. Naruto gave a short nod, closing the door behind them and summoning a clone to prepare tea. "Tea will be out shortly. You're welcome to sit. It doesn't seem like you came for small talk, am I right?" As he spoke, Sharuba padded out of the bedroom, leapt onto a chair, and lounged while keeping a watchful gaze. Shibai inclined his head. The boy wasn't nervous, and his Kikaichu didn't react aggressively to the Nine-Tails chakra lingering inside Naruto, which suggested the seal was holding well. That would be fine. He lowered himself onto a chair, impressed by its surprising comfort. "I came here regarding the sealing technique you presented to the Hokage and Jiraiya-sama." His opening words would decide the flow of this discussion. Naruto leaned back on the couch, casting a glance toward Sharuba. "Picked up on that fast, huh? Yes, I designed it specifically with your clan in mind after watching some of your members train. With the Uchiha gone, it's time other clans fill the void instead of waiting for their return." His eyes met Shibai's. "Most of my suffering came from that clan, but I don't think one pair of eyes should make them superior to everyone else. I want this village to stand strong, not lean on just a couple of families." Deep down, he didn't want to rely on only a few people either. He already had Jiji, Iro-sanin, and Hana-chan. That circle would expand eventually. Shibai listened carefully, catching the bitterness beneath the boy's words, though there was wisdom too, wisdom no child should have been forced to carry. Still, the clarity in his reasoning couldn't be ignored. Much like his own clan had been pushed aside for their bonds with insects, Naruto had endured injustice for what he carried. "Your logic is sound. Applying that seal to my clan is indeed a move in the right direction, which brings me to why I've come with an offer." Naruto opened his mouth, but Shibai raised a hand. "Your vision is commendable. However, this is something my clan and I already agreed upon." From beneath his cloak, he pulled out a gourd strapped with leather. "By sharing this seal with us, you've earned more than gratitude. You've earned a place among the Aburame. You cannot fully integrate with our Kikaichu, but we wish for you to accept this hive." He handed over the container, watching as insects crawled free, swarming toward their potential host. "They will draw on your chakra. How you bond with them, though, is uncertain. We normally initiate the process when children are 3. Your unusual circumstances may allow something different, but the outcome is unknown. Naruto accepted it with a solemn nod. This was another tool for the future. More importantly, it was a clan standing beside him. Thank you, Shibai-sama. I'll treat them with the respect and honor they deserve. He fully intended to attempt bonding that night. That is all for now, Shibai said as one of Naruto's clones arrived with a tray of tea before vanishing again. His brow twitched slightly. This child was casually using Kage Bunshin, but with chakra reserves as large as his, it wasn't unthinkable. His insects confirmed the boy's immense chakra levels. Naruto poured the tea, and they spoke quietly about what this meant. Sanctuary within the Aburame, future training opportunities, even a family of sorts. The clan also owned several shops that would now treat him fairly as an honorary member. Naruto turned these ideas over in his mind while smiling faintly, pouring tea for both of them. The next morning, the first day of class, also marked the beginning of Naruto's mission. The night before had been exhausting. After Shibai left, Naruto had gone through the bonding process. The results were unpredictable. Half the hive perished immediately under the pressure of demonic chakra, while the rest were weakened. The insects tunneled into him, their entry points seamlessly sealed over by chakra, leaving his skin unmarked. The survivors nestled within him, draining his energy, healing, and mutating to match his chakra. By morning, they had begun breeding, but remained dormant, leaving him tired though far from powerless. For now, they couldn't leave his body without dying, and he resolved to ignore them until they either fully adapted or faded away. Taking his seat in the classroom, Naruto glanced around. Older students and several clan heirs filled the room. One in Yuzuka and his ninkin gave him a questioning look as Sharuba lounged across Naruto's shoulders. "What's that fox doing here?" Naruto turned calmly. "He's my partner the same way your dog is yours in Yuzuka-san. He's registered as my ninkitsune." He smiled, his slightly sharp canines giving him an almost feral look, fitting, considering his companion. The boy snorted. "Yeah, right. When me and Sumaru beat you down, you'll see what a real partnership looks like." Naruto shook his head at the remark. "Want me to prank him too, San?" Sharuba's voice brushed his mind. Naruto smirked faintly. Moments later, the teachers entered. "Quiet," one called. "I am Yumino Uruka, your head instructor. This is Mizuki, my assistant." Their gazes scanned the class, but both froze on Naruto, Uruka staring at Sharuba, Mizuki at Naruto himself. They said nothing, but their glares were noted. Naruto tucked that information away for later. The lessons dragged. He already knew everything being taught, so he used the time to sketch seals for Sharuba. If the Inuzuka clan proved as cooperative as the Aburame, he might even share the design with them, perhaps in exchange for free veterinary care for Sharuba. The months rolled on the same way. Stares, petty challenges, and mind-numbing lectures. It didn't matter. He left clones at home to study and dispel for knowledge, or to drill chakra control exercises until he pushed into near-medic precision. His classmates still practiced the leaf exercise. He was far past that. Once he perfected the Hanseal's seal, he intended to teach Sharuba Kage Bunshin too, so they could train together at home. Despite his skills, he deliberately ranked at the bottom. The taijutsu style they taught him was useless, so he never excelled. Every written test was laced with genjutsu, which he intentionally failed. He occasionally shouted ambitions about becoming the greatest ninja ever or rambled nonsense, ensuring he kept a low profile. Most ignored him, except for the Inuzuka, who shifted from rivalry to a strange sort of camaraderie during spars. Naruto observed and learned their clan's techniques, though they didn't mesh well with his kitsune companion. Still, the research proved valuable. By summer break, the hive inside him still hadn't stabilized. He suspected it would take time. That was why he hadn't visited the Aburame compound yet, though he frequently shopped at their stores for tools, clothing, and supplies. Once a month, he also stopped by the veterinary clinic where Hana worked, letting her examine Sharuba. Recently, Sharuba had started wearing weight seals, and Naruto wanted to ensure the kit wasn't being pushed too hard. The only inscription Naruto had fully completed was the one that let Sharuba actually speak. It worked by channeling chakra to produce vibrations in the vocal cords, shaping them into sounds and words. Instead of barks or yips, the seal redirected brain impulses into clear speech. Thanks, Hana-chan, Shiruba said, hopping back onto Naruto's shoulder, startling the girl. He just talked, Hana stammered, eyes wide. Naruto nodded with a small grin. But how? Our Ninken don't get that ability until much later in life, and even then, their words aren't this clear. Naruto chuckled. It's a sealing formula. It changes his thoughts into sound waves using chakra, giving them shape as words. If you'd like, I could apply the same seal to your partners, but they'll need practice with chakra flow to control volume and refine their speech. The idea made Hana pause. The thought of her pack speaking was incredible. It could even help with her training sessions by letting the dogs translate. Yeah, I'd love that. If Mom approves, maybe we could even purchase the design from you. Smiling, Naruto unrolled a storage scroll, summoning 3 slips of parchment. Pressing one onto each of Hana's Ninken, he infused them with chakra. The papers dissolved into dust as the symbols spread across the dogs' faces, glowing faintly before sinking into their fur and vanishing. There. Based on their chakra reserves, their control, and how quick they learn, they should be talking pretty fluently in a few days, Naruto explained, carefully checking that the seals had stabilized. If your clan likes this one, I'm sure they'll be interested in the other project I'm working on. A sly grin tugged at his lips. Hana smiled back. If this was just a glimpse of his sealing skill, then the possibilities were endless. It could also make it easier for younger members of her clan to bond with their Ninken. Can they still use their natural way of speaking too? Naruto nodded. Of course. They can still communicate as they always have. It's just an added layer. I mainly created it so I could talk with Shiruba more clearly. But my other seal is different. It'll let them start learning techniques like shinobi. He smirked, clearly proud of the progress. Thanks, Naruto-kun. Once I've worked with the triplets, I'll bring this to Mom. She's the clan head, so it's her call whether we adopt it fully, Hana said, knowing her mother wasn't exactly fond of Naruto. Naruto gave a shrug. We'll see. Anyway, Shiruba, let's head out. You still need work on your control. But Tusan, I haven't been training nearly as long as you. The fox pouted, trailing after Naruto as Hana burst out laughing. As they left the compound, Naruto and Shiruba stopped, catching the familiar scent of Tsumaru and Kuraba. You two can come out. I smell you both, and so does Shiruba, Naruto called. Sure enough, the pair stepped into view. Dang it, Naruto, you're just as hard to sneak up on as my mom, Tsumaru grumbled, earning a grin from both boy and Ninken. Then either learn to mask your scent better, or don't try sneaking from downwind, Naruto teased. Shiruba bounded toward Tsumaru, playfully wrestling with him. You know, you're still the coolest guy in our class. I don't get why you fail exams. You help me study all the time, Kuraba said, scratching his head in confusion. Naruto sighed, debating whether to trust him with the truth. Let's say it involves an S-rank secret, and that people can be idiots. Would you believe me? Kuraba frowned but nodded. Naruto continued softly. The Hokage made a law kids who weren't alive back then aren't supposed to know. That's why most adults look down on me. See, the fourth didn't kill the Kyuubi. You can't kill a beast like that. He sealed it. He studied Kuraba's face carefully. So, he sealed it away. What's that got to do with you? Naruto asked a question instead. If I sealed a kunai into a scroll, does that make the scroll itself a kunai? Kuraba tilted his head, then shook it. No, that's dumb. A moment later, his eyes widened. Wait, you mean the Kyuubi was sealed inside you? Naruto gave a grim nod. But why not in an object or something else? Naruto exhaled heavily. Because the chakra is immense. A scroll wouldn't hold it, but sealing it inside a newborn meant the body itself would anchor the chakra, keeping the beast weakened. He lowered his gaze. So do you hate me too? Kuraba blinked, then shook his head fiercely. Of course not. You're not the fox, you're just the vessel. Honestly, it explains why you smell like one. I figured it was Shiruba, but then again, everyone in my clan reeks like dogs anyway. He laughed lightly. Naruto's chest tightened, but in relief this time. Thanks, it means a lot having someone who knows and doesn't look at me differently. Kuraba grinned, dragging Naruto into a headlock. Nah, just means Tsumaru and I have to work harder to keep up with you and your demon battery. Tsumaru barked in agreement. Naruto smirked. Shiruba and I were going to work on joint techniques, like your clan's style, but in our own way. It's tricky since we're not straightforward brawlers, but I'll figure it out. Kuraba gave it some thought. Kitsune are supposed to be clever, right? Maybe illusion techniques would suit you. If you could adapt our beast clone technique, that would be insane. I'd help, but those are clan secrets. Maybe you could ask Mom or Tsume since she's alpha. Naruto nodded thoughtfully. Genjutsu wasn't something he had practiced much, but paired with Sharuba, it might just work. The beast clone also gave him new ideas. Yeah, I'll look into it. Thanks, Kuraba. He flashed a fox-like grin. Come on, Sharuba, we've got all summer to train and stay ahead of these two. Kuraba smirked back. We'll just train twice as hard. Don't forget to spar with us sometime this summer. Months later, Naruto lounged in his now extravagant apartment. He had gone a little overboard using seals for decoration. But at the moment, he was hunched over a large scroll, scanning for errors. He'd been studying how to transform hand signs into scripted seals, but while the concept already existed, he wanted to refine it further. His current project was figuring out how to chain different seals in various orders to make chakra perform entire jutsu. With only 12 signs, the system wasn't overly complex, but advanced techniques often required repetition. He had considered limiter seals, similar to those in exploding tags, though it didn't quite pan out. She's still not working. He rolled up the scroll and placed it in his growing shelf of no-clue experiments. Stretching his back, Naruto released his clones with a chakra pulse, then looked around. His request to the Hokage for a larger apartment had resulted in the old man outright buying the entire building and giving Naruto the rent. With clones studying construction, he had remodeled the top floor into a penthouse and laboratory. His side project with the Kikaichu was progressing slowly. They still hadn't adapted fully to his chakra, though he estimated another year before they developed properly. With nothing more he could do, he focused back on the clone memories. He had already advanced to the second stage of elemental manipulation, which made him grin in satisfaction. It was something he could refine over the summer, so he pulled out the scrolls Jiraiya had given him and scanned through the list of techniques again. At the moment, he was practicing both the hidden mist and wind blade arts. He had managed to keep the mist up for nearly an hour, but the wind kept scattering it, leaving him frustrated. He was determined to solve that problem, so he formed a blade of wind, concentrating on how his chakra circulated through it. That's when it clicked. He realized the current of air was flowing outward. He shifted his control, forcing the air to spiral inward, compressing the energy. The result was denser, sharper, and gave off a faint whistle so quiet it was practically silent to anyone else. He dismissed the weapon, then filled the lab with mist and remade the blade. This time, the swirling wind drew the vapors in and expelled them from the tip like a funnel. Exhaling, he dropped both jutsu. Sharuba, get in here. He waited until the silver fox flashed into the room in a streak of movement. Good. Now, we need to figure out how to train you in techniques without relying on seals, since I still can't make that seal function properly. I've already figured out how you pull off that clone trick, Sharuba replied smugly. You don't even use hand signs anymore. From everything you forced me to read, he pouted, the signs only shape your chakra into patterns that form the jutsu. If I can learn the patterns directly, then I don't need the seals either. And besides, Kage Bunshin doesn't even use a proper sign. Naruto absorbed Sharuba's explanation with interest. It was true, he had mastered shadow clones to the point he no longer needed the hand seals. That meant mastery, patterns, control. His face lit up with inspiration. Sharuba, you're a genius. The fox puffed up with pride at his father's praise. See, I'm far better than those dogs of the Inuzuka. Watch Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He focused hard, and with a puff of smoke, another silver fox appeared beside him. Sharuba was panting, but the clone was solid. Naruto spun toward the sound, smiling wide. How did you manage that? I've watched you use it nearly every day for a year, Tusan. And I can feel chakra, so I just copied the sensation. It's slower than memorizing seals, but if I can lock in the feeling, I can recreate it. He swished his tails proudly. Naruto folded his arms, thoughtful. All right, how much chakra do you have left? Enough for one more, but I'd probably collapse. Naruto nodded, knowing exactly how draining it was. He himself poured more chakra into clones than necessary, just to match others. Fine. Until you can make 3. I want you creating at least one per day and training alongside one of my clones, who will walk you through every seal until you can copy them directly. Meanwhile, the real you will keep working on chakra growth, weights, tree walking, water walking until you drop. Once you hit 3 clones, I'll hand over every genjutsu scroll I have. I'll focus on ninjutsu, you'll take genjutsu, and together we'll train taijutsu. I'll keep studying fuinjutsu, and maybe Hanani-chan can teach you medical arts. Sharuba practically beamed. Then that means I can start Raiten drills too, right Tusan? Naruto gave a small nod. Lightning release would suit Sharuba well, fast, stunning strikes that paired perfectly with his style. A week before the academy reopened, Naruto sat in Hana's office, while she gave Sharuba a checkup, her 3 hounds lounging nearby. It was all routine until an older woman entered, making both boy and fox stiffen. Her scent carried authority, the alpha. Hana, what's going on? The woman asked sharply. Hana snapped upright. Tsume-sama, I was just checking Sharuba's health for Naruto. Tsume's eyes shifted from Hana to the fox, then to Naruto. The room reeked of fox chakra, and she could have sworn she'd heard extra voices. Who else is here? I heard talking on my way past. Hana glanced at Naruto, who gave a small nod. Since the Inuzuka Ninken could now speak like Sharuba, hiding it was pointless. That would be Sharuba and my Ninken. Naruto designed a seal that lets them speak. Sensing her doubt, Sharuba jumped in. Tusan gave me a voice, and he did the same for Hana-chan's partners. Isn't that right? The 3 dogs backed him up immediately, speaking one after another in their strange triplet rhythm. Yeah, Naruto put seals on us. It was weird but cool, and it helps us understand better. Tsume stared, astonished, then demanded, show me the seal. Naruto calmly pulled a scroll from storage and handed it over. It links their thoughts to chakra and vocal cords, translating it into speech. It took them months to get this fluent. They can still communicate normally, but I wanted to repay Hana for helping me with Sharuba. Tsume examined it, recognizing pieces of mind seals but woven differently, tied to the body's own will. What's with the chakra use? Our Ninken can learn speech naturally. Naruto answered without hesitation. It strengthens their vocal cords, builds chakra reserves, and improves control. That's how Sharuba's already learning jutsu. For a moment, Tsume wanted to hate him, but she couldn't. He wasn't the demon fox. He was just a boy working with his companion like any Inuzuka. Her bitterness melted. Fine. You'll share this seal with my clan, and in exchange, Sharuba gets free treatment here. I'll also dig up some jutsu we don't use anymore, styles that might help you. But you don't tell anyone else about this. Understood, pup? Naruto inclined his head respectfully. Yes, Tsume-sama. With this, your clan will grow stronger, and so will the village, especially after the Uchiha's fall. The glint in his eyes didn't escape her notice. Good. Next time you come in, I'll have something ready. With that, she left, and everyone sighed in relief. Naruto then unsealed a bundle of the seals and handed them to Hana. Remind her they should only be used after bonding, just to be safe. Year before graduation at 11, Naruto stood taller than most of his peers, his blonde hair longer but tied back with bangs framing his face. At the rear of the classroom, he waited for the year to finally end. His dark ANBU-style pants and soft, closed sandals matched his sleeveless navy shirt, beneath which black mesh covered his arms. A modified black coat, Uzumaki swirl stitched in blue across the back, hung open, its pockets filled with scrolls. At his side sat Sharuba, now massive, twin tails flicking, his head reaching Naruto's waist. This was going to be his final year in the academy, and he couldn't be happier about it. Whether he passed the exams or not didn't matter. He was already a genin, thanks to the Hokage making that arrangement the year before, though it had been kept quiet. Still, he was curious this year since Tsume's son Kiba and Shibai's son Shino were now in his class. That at least meant he'd have a few companions. He did miss Kuraba, but that one had already graduated and had been running missions for years now. Taking his seat, he waited patiently. Soon, the previous year's students began filling in. From the looks of it, this was the section for heirs. After the devastation of the Kyuubi attack, many clans had been eager to rebuild their numbers. Hyuga, Akamichi, Nara, Uchiha, Inuzuka, Yamanaka, and others, including ambitious civilians seeking the honor of the ninja life, all had children in this group. Naruto waved Shino over. who acknowledged with a nod before sitting down. Shortly after, Shikamaru and Choji joined them. Shino gave Naruto an odd look, or as much of one as could be seen behind his dark glasses and high collar, before a small insect crawled from his sleeve and landed on Naruto's arm. Naruto only nodded, then turned back to the other two. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I already know Shino," he said, tilting his head toward the Aburame. "Troublesome," Shikamaru muttered. "I'm Shikamaru, and that's Choji." He motioned toward the boy munching through a bag of chips. "So, what's with the fox?" Naruto grinned and glanced at Shiruba. "He's my partner, same way the Inuzuka fight alongside Ninken or the Aburame use their Kakachu." At that, Shino's insect flew back up his sleeve, unnoticed by the others. Shino paused briefly, clearly listening to his hive. "You are the one my father mentioned." Naruto nodded. He had yet to properly show his hive to the Aburame clan head. "You should come see him soon. He will want to observe this." Naruto agreed without hesitation. "Maybe after class you can take me there." Shino gave a slight nod. Shikamaru noticed the exchange, surprised. Shino rarely spoke so much in such a short time. He decided not to ask, figuring it was too much of a hassle for now. Class carried on until two girls, one blonde and the other with unusual pink hair, entered together, only to notice a single seat available next to the Uchiha. Instantly, they began bickering and shoving over who would sit there, their voices echoing through the room. That was the sight Uruka and Mizuki walked in on. "Quiet!" Uruka shouted, coughing after the effort. "Sit down immediately. If you can't follow the rules, then you'll be out of this class and off the list of shinobi." Everyone quickly settled. Uruka continued, "Today, we'll be evaluating your abilities so we can adjust your training accordingly." He posted a chart of names and categories on the board. First will be a written exam, followed by group practice rotating through each skill set. Mizuki began handing out papers, and the students got started. Naruto scribbled down nonsense, uninterested. He could clearly see the genjutsu laid over the test anyway. After classes, Naruto walked alongside Shino, Shikamaru, and Choji down the street. "Naruto, why was everything they gave you way harder or worded so strangely?" Shikamaru asked, clearly puzzled. The treatment of the blonde didn't make sense, and Naruto seemed too calm about it. Naruto let out a sigh. "It's because of something that happened on my birthday, 11 years ago. I had nothing to do with it, yet they still direct all their hate and grief at me." He didn't go into detail, but Shikamaru already had enough to start piecing it together. Shino, of course, already knew. His insects had made him aware long ago. "This is where we split," Shino said, motioning to another path. "If you still wish to visit my father, we should head this way." Naruto nodded and waved goodbye to the other two before following Shino. They walked in silence until reaching the Aburame compound, a wide network of homes and outbuildings. The design was simple, efficient, and orderly, the best words Naruto could find for it. As soon as they crossed the gates, a dense cloud of Kakachu surrounded them. It was the clan's security. You were either accepted, a host, or considered prey to be drained. The insects, however, left them untouched, allowing them to enter the main grounds. Naruto followed Shino through the house until they reached his father's office. Shibai sat at his desk, reviewing documents. "Father, I've brought Uzumaki-san. His situation is unusual and I believe you'll want to see it." Shino bowed and exited. Shibai regarded Naruto calmly. "So, what is this matter? Does it concern your hive?" Naruto hesitated briefly before answering. "Yes, I bonded with the hive you gave me, but they're struggling with my chakra. They live long enough to pass on to the next generation, but strangely, they seem to be lasting longer and multiplying. Slowly but surely." He gestured lightly. "If you wish, you may send one to inspect them." Shibai sent a Kakachu, and while waiting, he spoke evenly. "I must thank you again for the seal. All our members now receive it after birth before their hives are introduced. It's proven invaluable." Even so, he was deeply intrigued by Naruto's case. Perhaps the insects had adapted to something more than just chakra. The inspection insect soon returned, and Shibai listened silently, then searched through a shelf until pulling out a scroll. "You were never given the bonding jutsu, which normally helps the hive stabilize inside its host. Yet your insects appear to be doing so on their own. Still, I can accelerate the process. They should already number 30 times what you have now." Naruto gave a nod of approval. Shibai formed hand seals and placed a glowing palm against Naruto's body. A rush of chakra surged through Naruto, and the hive stirred rapidly before calming again. Done, Shibai said. This will create a proper refuge within your body, so they can nest without being crushed under your chakra's weight. I am curious what they've become, though. Naruto summoned one. A small, purple-hued insect emerged, its wings stretching before it fluttered to Shibai's desk. Using a magnifying lens, Shibai studied its features: hardened carapace, enlarged pincers, and a visible venom sac. This one seems to be a guard variant, yet it differs from the hive you received. They've adapted to your chakra and now have a stable colony within you. The insect returned into Naruto's arm. Is there anything else I need to be cautious of? Naruto asked. He knew he should have sought help earlier, but pride had kept him from it. Now he could feel the hive constantly drawing on his chakra, stronger, denser than normal, perhaps even tinged with something darker. For now, Shibai advised, don't use them until they inform you they are ready, likely another year. Their growth is faster than normal, and they've evolved to survive without the bonding jutsu. They're already different from our breeds. Once your hive stabilizes, perhaps you'd allow us a sample to study. Naruto agreed. He wouldn't make the same mistake again. They discussed the colony further, including what to expect as it expanded, and even matters like Naruto's finances from his stipend, missions, and property investments. Time skip graduation, the months slipped by in monotony. Naruto kept up his private training and studies, though his official scores were abysmal, landing him at the very bottom of the class once more. But this day marked the true end of his charade, the moment his mission of playing the fool finally reached its close. He had just been summoned into the testing hall, where he had already shown 2 of the 3 required skills: the transformation and the substitution technique. Now came the last part, the section that always ruined his chances. Every time, someone disguised themselves with a henge to interfere with his clones, and although he suspected Mizuki, today would confirm everything. Listen, Naruto, Uruka said seriously, concern clear in his voice. If you fail this exam again, you'll never be allowed to graduate as a shinobi. Naruto carefully formed the seals and produced a handful of ordinary bunshin. He thought they looked fine, but once the haze cleared, the duplicates appeared half-formed and lifeless, collapsing to the floor. Uruka sighed in disappointment. I'm sorry, Naruto, but you didn't pass. Mizuki quickly cut in. Uruka, can't you let him slide this once? Uruka shook his head firmly. No, rules are rules and I won't break them. Sorry. Lowering his head, Naruto left the room and returned to sit near Shino and his companions. He only glanced at Sharuba, offering him a quick wink. It wouldn't be much longer. Meanwhile, Uruka came out and informed everyone to return in 2 days for team assignments. Those who succeeded would form squads, while those who failed could try another career or come back next year. Outside, Naruto and Sharuba hung around the training grounds, pretending to be crushed by another failure. On the inside, however, Naruto hoped this would finally end the long charade of being a hopeless student. Still, 4 years of that label would be hard to shake. Then he noticed Mizuki approaching him directly. I'm sorry you couldn't pass the normal exam, Mizuki said. Naruto tilted his head curiously. Normal way. There's another way. Mizuki forced a sympathetic look, hiding his smirk. Yes, but it's much harder than these simple tests. I don't know if you can handle it. Naruto puffed his chest out. I can do anything. Come on, Mizuki-sensei, at least give me a chance. He pouted dramatically. Even Sharuba gave a little whine. Perfect, he's hooked, Mizuki thought. Fine, but here's what you must do. Hokage's office. And Mizuki said to bring the forbidden scroll to the forest clearing tonight by 9. Naruto finished explaining the so-called secret exam. I'll need the real scroll to sell the act, but I'm confident I can deal with him, with Sharuba's help, of course. The Hokage leaned back, considering the reports about both instructors. It was clear Mizuki was the traitor. His motives for stealing the scroll likely involved handing it to someone outside the village. That couldn't be allowed, but the best way to catch him was to use Naruto as bait. Very well. I'll have the scroll in my office by 7. Once you leave, I'll send a squad of ANBU 20 minutes later. That should give you enough time to prepare, examine the scroll, and surprise Mizuki. If he's not alone, however, do not engage. Understood, Naruto nodded seriously. This was no longer his grandpa Jiji speaking. It was the Hawkage, commander to soldier. Yes, Hawkage-sama. Later that evening, just after 7, Naruto and Shiruba dashed out of the Hawkage's office, splitting up several clones in different directions to confuse any tales. They reached the designated clearing about 20 minutes later, right as the ANBU would be mobilizing. Pulling the massive scroll off his back, Naruto unrolled it. He skipped over familiar entries like the shadow clone and chakra threads, looking instead for something new he could use without breaking too many laws. Halfway through, 2 techniques caught his eye. One was the bloodline copy jutsu, a method to replicate a weakened version of another person's Kekkei Genkai. Naruto saw enormous potential in that. It might not remain weak once the Nine Tails stirred. The other was called Chakra Shroud. It wrapped the user in a layer of chakra, draining energy continuously but blocking weapons and softening ninjutsu damage. For most people, the cost would be too high, but Naruto's dense chakra reserves, not to mention the fox's power, made it viable. He memorized both sets of hand signs, though he didn't yet know whose bloodline he would want to copy. With minutes to spare before Mizuki's arrival, he created multiple clones and sent them into hiding. Shiruba, up the tree. Stay ready. The fox bounded into the branches, waiting for the right moment. Soon Mizuki appeared, grinning. So you actually did it. Hand over the scroll and you'll earn your promotion. Naruto smirked. You came alone, that's careless. Kirigakure no jutsu. With rapid seals, thick mist spread across the clearing. He secured the scroll on his back. By order of the Hawkage, Mizuki, you're under arrest for treason. Unable to see anything, Mizuki growled. The brat must have learned that from the scroll. Fog won't protect you, Naruto. His opponent's voice echoed from every direction. It doesn't have to. Suddenly, clones lunged from all sides, striking Mizuki with chakra-infused blows that disrupted his network. We don't need sight, we can hear you and smell you. From above came Shiruba's cry. Reitan. Kitsune shock tackle. Lightning exploded, slamming into Mizuki and amplifying through the damp air. His screams echoed before silence and a heavy thud followed. When the mist dispersed, Naruto tied Mizuki securely, tightened his headband on his arm, and fastened Shiruba's collar bearing the leaf insignia. With the unconscious traitor slung over his shoulder and the scroll in Shiruba's jaws, they sped back toward the tower. Hawkage's office, Naruto and Shiruba burst through the window, dumping Mizuki onto the floor. Alive, just like you wanted, Naruto said. Shiruba padded over, allowing the Hawkage to take back the scroll. Do you need the full report or just what happened tonight? Sarutobi glanced at the tied-up instructor, then at the boy who had accomplished all this with only his fox's support. That won't be necessary. I watched the entire confrontation through my crystal ball. He gestured to the orb on his desk. Mizuki will be turned over to Ibiki for questioning. Now, tell me, which techniques did you learn? I saw you use shadow clones, so I assumed that one you already knew. Naruto nodded. I also picked up the chakra threads earlier, and I memorized the chakra shroud's seals. I believe I can manage it for limited periods. The Hawkage sensed no deceit. Those won't trouble you, but don't overuse the shroud. As for the threads, with your lineage they may become a weapon more than a tool. Naruto had realized as much, though he kept quiet. Understood, Hawkage-sama. Anything else? Sarutobi folded his hands. Yes, Kakashi Hadake has requested you specifically for his squad. Since he alone wields the Sharingan here, Sasuke will also be placed with him. He noticed Naruto twitch at the Uchiha's name. I'd like my placement determined by the scores from your and Jiraiya's private exams, Naruto replied firmly. Those results should make me the top student, which means pairing me with Sasuke would be unfair. The Hawkage gave a small smile, already imagining Kakashi's reaction. Then as Rookie of the Year, 4 years running, your likely teammates would be Kiba and Sakura. But I doubt Sakura would last long. I won't break up the Ino-Shikacho trio, so instead I'll put you under Kurenai. With Shiruba, you mirror the Inuzuka style, so it balances well. That would give you Shino and Hinata. Naruto considered it. He pitied Kiba for being left with Sasuke, but rivalry would drive him forward. That works. Let him deal with the Uchiha. Then it's settled, Sarutobi said. I'll inform the Jonin tomorrow, and hear your pay and bonus for the mission, the extras for capturing him alive. He handed Naruto a fat envelope. This will also be recorded in your file as a completed mission, though not the duration, he chuckled. A solo C rank for a genin is quite the achievement, Naruto grinned. Thanks, Gigi. Oh, why don't you use shadow clones to handle your paperwork? Laughing, he leapt out the window with Sharuba, finally free of the burden of pretending to be an idiot, and grateful he wouldn't be stuck on a team with the Uchiha. Tonight he'd skip training and enjoy the victory. Jounin assembly. Following morning, Sarutobi sat behind his desk, his eyes scanning the gathered Jounin. Asuma, Kurenai, Height, and surprisingly, Kakashi, who for once had arrived punctually. Of course, that might have been because he told Kakashi the meeting started at 9, while the others were called for 11. Regardless, everyone was present. As you're all aware, this year you'll each be taking charge of a new squad, the Hawkage began, his tone deliberate, building suspense. However, due to recent revelations and the release of certain once classified information, I've had to reassign some placements. He cleared his throat. Kakashi, I'm rejecting your request for Uzumaki Naruto. Handing out the official files, he added, as you'll see, he ranked as Rookie of the Year. I can't allow teams to be unbalanced. The Jounin examined the boy's results and abilities with raised brows. Kakashi frowned. Hawkage-sama, this doesn't make sense. There's no way he could've. Kakashi, Sarutobi interrupted firmly, a hint of killing intent leaking into his voice. Last night Naruto completed a solo C-rank mission. He tracked and subdued a Chunin who had stolen the Forbidden Scroll. My judgment, along with that of Jiraiya and Ibiki, should outweigh a mere instructor's. The others accepted this explanation, though Kakashi's expression remained troubled. Would I have been allowed him if he were still the dead last? No. Years ago, Naruto specifically requested never to be paired with a Sharingan wielder or an Uchiha, Sarutobi explained, his voice tinged with regret. He remembers every attack from his childhood, fire release techniques, and the Sharingan glaring down at him more often than not. If paired with Sasuke, Naruto would never lift a finger to help him. In fact, he said outright he'd rather see the boy die. His exact words, "The only good Uchiha is a dead one or Itachi." And considering Itachi was often the one who saved him from abuse, it's no surprise where his loyalties would fall. Sasuke's drive to kill Itachi only guarantees they'd clash. The Jounin kept their reactions neutral, though the weight of Sarutobi's words made sense of Naruto's bitterness. If that was his worst flaw, they could deal with it. Kurenai finally asked, then what are the finalized team placements? Team 7 will consist of Kiba and Yuzuka, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha under Kakashi. He handed over the roster. Team 8 will be Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga, and Naruto Uzumaki, led by Kurenai. Passing her the adjusted documents, he continued, Team 10 will reform the Ino Shikacho trio under Asuma. Team 11 remains as you selected, Height. Lighting his pipe, he dismissed them. Report for team introductions tomorrow at noon. The Jounin departed, though Kakashi lingered. Hawkage-sama, I must ask you to reconsider. Meeting Kakashi's single eye, Sarutobi said gravely, Naruto would abandon the shinobi life before accepting an Uchiha teammate, and he wouldn't respect you because of your Sharingan. On top of that, I know the council's instructions. You're to prioritize Sasuke alone. Kiba has his clan, Sakura was molded to idolize Sasuke, but I won't risk pushing Naruto to quit, kill, or defect. He stays off your team. You don't honestly believe the boy could kill. With Sasuke, he wouldn't hesitate. He doesn't see him as human, just trash to be discarded. The only thing holding him back is my promise that they'd never be teamed. This discussion is over. Respect his wishes, Kakashi, Sarutobi finished with quiet finality. Council chambers in a dimly lit room, the village elders sat with Danzo, reviewing Sarutobi's team list with displeasure. Their plans to keep the demon under control were unraveling. Hiruzen coddles that boy, treating him as human, Danzo finally sneered. He should have been turned into a weapon long ago, but he keeps hiding behind that excuse, that it's not what the fourth wanted. I demand to know why. The other elders exchanged knowing looks. Very few people, Jiraiya among them, truly knew the boy's lineage. Even Hiruzen was unaware that they knew. Danzo, Himura warned, though we agree the boy's freedom is dangerous, pressing the matter could bring consequences far worse for us, and the village. Why should I not force him into submission, forge him into a weapon for Konoha? Danzo pressed, his voice cold and unyielding. Koharu exhaled sharply. Because of who his parents were, If he ever learned the truth or if it spread, the village would face chaos it couldn't endure. For now, his loyalty to Hiruzen is enough. But some truths can topple empires, Danzo. Best you remember that. Danzo heard the veiled threat loud and clear. If they abandoned him, they would expose his secrets in a heartbeat. Hamura added, and we still don't fully understand the seal Minato placed on him. It isn't like any other Jinchuriki seal we've studied. It may have locked the beast's power entirely. If it's broken or Naruto dies, the demon may vanish as well. None of us can risk unleashing it again. He held up the roster. Still, with the three of us united, we can override Hiruzen's decision without suspicion. Koharu's lips curled into a sly smile. Yes, remove Sasuke from a standard team. Place him directly under Kakashi. He's failed every squad before, giving him more flexibility. The civilian girl can be shuffled into medic training, Hamura added. Kiba back to Kurenai, leaving the boy without a proper squad. Danzo leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Better yet, restore the original arrangement. Kakashi takes Sasuke, Sakura, and the demon boy. The girl bends to Sasuke's will, Kakashi obeys our orders to prioritize the Uchiha, and Naruto, resentful as ever, will be ripe for plucking. Easier to draw him into my fold when he feels abandoned. Hokage's office back in his office, Hiruzen seethed, his killing intent suffocating his guards. Through his crystal orb, he had witnessed everything. Legally, the elders maneuvering held ground, but their motives enraged him. ANBU, he barked. Bring me Naruto. Now, the masked operative vanished, and moments later Naruto appeared with Shiruba in a swirl of leaves. Both froze under the crushing pressure of the Hokage's rage. Jiji, what's going on? Naruto asked cautiously. The Hokage exhaled, forcing down his fury. Sit, they obeyed. The elders have overturned my decision. You've been reassigned to Team 7, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura. His voice dropped, heavy with regret. I know I promised otherwise, I failed you. The temperature plummeted. Naruto's chakra flared, frost spreading across the room. Fine. If that's their wish, then let the village suffer when it loses its prized Uchiha. I'm cashing in my favor, Jiji. I want the truth about my parents. And I want access to the second Hokage's water-style scrolls. I've nearly mastered raw manipulation. Hiruzen had expected an explosion of rage, not the icy, focused malice radiating off the boy. The demands weren't outrageous, but the hatred behind them chilled him. I'll grant you the Suiten scrolls, he said carefully. But about your parents, Naruto's glare cut him off, sharper than any blade. You owe me that much. This village owes me more than it can repay. Either tell me or I walk away. For an 11-year-old, the words carried terrifying weight. With his abilities and whatever else he'd been hiding, Hiruzen knew he couldn't risk losing him. You've left me no choice, the Hokage sighed. Sliding the fourth's portrait aside, he unlocked a hidden safe and withdrew 3 scrolls. Your parents wrote these before their deaths. Your father foresaw it, and your mother, she always prepared for the worst. He handed Naruto 2 of the scrolls. The boy tore them open instantly, eyes devouring every word. Naruto, if you're reading this, it means your father and I are no longer alive. By now, you must have either achieved the rank of Chunin or managed to convince, or force, Hiruzen to allow you access to this letter. My name is Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. To my knowledge, you and I are the last known members of the Uzumaki clan, once hailing from Uzu, which was wiped out because of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. I was chosen as its host after the Uzukage sealed the beast inside me. I pray with all my heart that you never have to face the same burden I did. I leave you all my love and 3 techniques, 2 of my most dreaded ones, and another that grants you entry and exit into Uzu if you ever decide to return. Remember, Naruto, I will always love you and I will always be proud of you. Kushina opening the next letter much slower, Naruto unrolled it. Narukun, I hope you read your mother's first. If you inherited her spirit, which I suspect you did, you must already be a Chunin, or you somehow got the old man to hand this over. Apologies, old man. Anyway, yes, I am Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. As I write this, I am preparing to carry out the sealing. If all goes as intended, you will end up carrying the Kyuubi within you. I hoped with all my heart that the village would treat you as the hero both your mother and I wanted them to see you as. If they haven't, then don't hold back, make them regret it. But try not to be too harsh on the old man. If you're not already under your godfather's care, remind Jurya of the promise he made to both me and your mother. Everything I owned is now yours, the house, land, and all the money. I also leave you with a secret from our bloodline. Since I am already dead, I can reveal this freely. The truth is, Namikaze isn't our true clan name. You are in Uzumaki, and also the last living descendant of Tabarama Senju. Namikaze was the surname of the civilian who married his daughter. That would make me Tabarama's great-grandson, and you his great-great-grandson. If Tsunade is still alive, then you have family. Don't be upset if no one told you. This secret has always been carefully guarded. There's a way to prove it. If you're in the Hawkage's office, look behind the Nidame's portrait. There's a blood seal there. Smear your blood across it, and all will be revealed. Lastly, as acting Hawkage, I decree, if Naruto Uzumaki has not yet reached Chunin rank, but still managed to access these scrolls, I hereby promote him to Tokubetsu Chunin. Minato Namikaze, fourth Hawkage, the little doodle of a chibi with a victory sign, shattered whatever seriousness Naruto had left, and he broke into laughter. But it wasn't a joyful laugh, it was closer to hysterical, nearly unhinged. Setting the scrolls aside, he turned to Hiruzen with a crooked grin, then strode straight toward the portrait of his so-called ancestor, tearing it from the wall. Naruto, what are you doing? Hiruzen asked sharply. Relax, I'm just following my father's instructions. Flipping the frame, Naruto revealed a large seal. Biting his thumb, he smeared blood across it. At first, nothing happened, but then the seal glowed, and a family tree unfurled before their eyes. The entire Senju lineage appeared, and the Hawkage rushed closer, stunned, when he saw Tsunade's and Naruto's names as the only living heirs. Naruto's name, however, was written as Naruto Senju Uzumaki. Well, would you look at that? Seems I'm related to 3 of the 4 Hawkages. Naruto smirked, turning to the old man. Jiji, I want this announced tomorrow before the team assignments. I am the Nidame's heir. Hiruzen stared in disbelief, though the truth resonated deeply as he compared Naruto's features to those of the Hawkages. Even Tsunade had that same golden hair and fiery nature. They'll demand proof, but with this, and a blood test or two, it'll be undeniable. His voice was heavy, his guilt nearly crushing. He had failed Minato, and by extension, Tabarama's family, by letting Naruto suffer all these years. The next day on the balcony overlooking Konoha stood Naruto and Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hawkage. People of Konoha, Hiruzen began, last night fate revealed an incredible truth about one of our own. He gestured for Naruto to stand beside him. This young man, orphaned during the attack 11 years ago, has shown unwavering spirit. And now, his heritage proves the words of the Hawkages before me were no lie. I present to you Naruto Senju Uzumaki, great-great-grandson of Tabarama Senju and son of Minato Namikaze, our 4th Hawkage. The villagers froze, silent, as the revelation sank in. The council, too, fell into deep thought, some already reconsidering their treatment of the boy, others silently regretting past actions. A few, who had always believed in Naruto, smiled proudly. For confirmation, Hiruzen continued, I show you the blood-sealed Senju family tree, which verifies the lineage of Minato, Tsunade, and Naruto. He turned to Naruto. Now he wishes to speak. Naruto stepped forward, his eyes cold. You who spat on me, beat me, rejected me, and treated me worse than dirt, I despise you. I won't forget what you've done. But if you acknowledge me as an equal, I will let the past remain there. To those who showed kindness, respect, and friendship, I thank you. His gaze softened slightly at Hana and the Aburame present. It's fitting that today I finally join my first team as a shinobi of Konoha, carrying the legacy of Tabarama Senju. And alongside me, the last Uchiha. His tone carried weight the crowd didn't fully grasp, though the elders, Hawkage, and Kakashi, soon to be his sensei, certainly did. Hiruzen placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and turned back to the villagers. As Hawkage, student of the 1st and 2nd Hawkages, I acknowledge and support Naruto's rightful claim. Clans like the Aburame, Inuzuka, Nara, and Akimichi immediately stood in support. Others stayed silent, but none dared oppose it. So it is decided. The Senju clan lives on, and so does the will of fire. The villagers cheered, though whether they truly accepted him was something only time would tell. Academy team assignments, the young genin sat waiting, most of them unaware of the events from the day before. Naruto entered in his usual black and blue attire, though now his shoulders bore the Uzu swirl, and on the back of his jacket was the Senju clan crest in bold black. Settling into his seat, he waited with a sly grin. Uruka soon arrived, scroll in hand. Today is bittersweet for me. I will no longer be your sensei, but you are all stepping into the next stage as true shinobi. He unrolled the scroll and began announcing teams. Team 8, Kiba and Yuzuka, Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame with Kurenai as your sensei. Team 10, Shikamaru Nara, Chaujia Kamichi, Ino Yamanaka with Asuma. Team 7, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Naruto Senju with Kakashi Hadake. The class erupted. Some girls wailed about not being with Sasuke, others whispered in shock that Naruto's name had been recorded as Senju, and still more shouted about unfairness. Enough, Uruka barked. Meet your sensei at 1 o'clock. Dismissed. Naruto leaned back, processing everything. The discovery of his bloodline weighed heavily, but it didn't erase the fact that the Kyuubi had been inside his mother, meaning it was released somehow. Questions burned in his mind, questions only the beast could answer once it stirred. His modified seal could either slow his absorption of the Kyuubi's chakra or hasten it unnaturally. Already, his clones were dispersing, flooding him with knowledge from training and research. The strain was intense, but his regeneration made it possible. Pickup time Naruto stayed behind rather than leave, letting the news of his heritage spread among the villagers. He sat with Sharuba, the two-tailed kitsune resting quietly as clones returned. Few could use clones as he did. Fewer still had his stamina and healing to endure the mental strain. Other genin filtered back in, many sneaking glances at him. Clan heirs looked at him with understanding, while Sasuke merely glared. Naruto ignored him. He had no reason to rekindle that rivalry, but if the chance came, he wouldn't hesitate to bury him. Jounin appeared one by one to collect their squads until only Team 7 remained. Naruto checked the clock, annoyed at the legendary tardiness he'd been warned about. He ignored Sakura's chatter, unwilling to hide who he was anymore. If anyone tried to steal his abilities with their eyes, he'd make sure they lost them. Finally, their sensei arrived, strolling in casually. First impression, I don't like you, meet me on the roof. With that, Kakashi vanished. Sasuke and Sakura rushed after him, while Naruto flickered there instantly with Sharuba at his side, waiting. Rooftop Kakashi was stunned to see the blonde and his fox appear within a swirl of leaves. He's far beyond what I was told. Between the Hokage's open acknowledgement of his skills and the revelation of Naruto's lineage, it was clear the boy was destined for greatness, with or without him. The silver-haired Jonin sighed inwardly, "Sensei, forgive me." A short while later, the other two stumbled in, panting for air, before settling on the edge, both glaring daggers at Naruto. All right, why don't we introduce ourselves first? After that, we'll move on to the real test. Kakashi-sensei, maybe you should go first, the pink-haired girl suggested. Fine, I'm Kakashi Hadake. I have a number of likes, even more dislikes, and as for my dream, well, that's a secret. He spoke flatly while peeking at the little orange book in his hand. His team sat there, unimpressed, Sakura confused, Sasuke indifferent, and Naruto not even listening. Now, let's hear from you. Pinky, you're up. She straightened with a smile. I'm Sakura Haruno. She glanced at Sasuke, and I dislike Naruto the idiot. My dream is... Another dreamy look at Sasuke, followed by a giggle. The others sweat-dropped in response. Kakashi's gaze shifted between the boys before nodding to Sasuke. I'm Sasuke Uchiha. I have no particular likes. My dislikes are traitors to my clan. My goal is to kill the one responsible for wiping out my family. Before Kakashi could call on him, Naruto jumped in. Naruto Senju Uzumaki here, heir to both clans. I like a lot of things. I hate those who rely on stealing or mimicking skills instead of earning them. My dream. I'll share that only when I think you're worth my trust. Beside him, Sharuba gave a sharp yip. Kakashi thought to himself, I'm not supposed to fail them, but Naruto and Sasuke will never work together. Sasuke refuses to cooperate at all, and Sakura will only chase Sasuke's approval. Everything I've seen and read is playing out right in front of me. And the way Naruto looked at me when he mentioned copying jutsu, he knows about my eye. Fine then. Tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, training ground 7. Naruto, stay behind a minute. The others left quickly. Naruto's voice was clipped. What is it, Kakashi? I've got things to handle. Running a hand through his hair, Kakashi explained, First, technically I can't fail you since you're not even officially a genin. Second, I was your father's student. Third, you already know I've been instructed to ignore you and focus on Sasuke. Naruto gave a small nod to each point. So, we'll figure out how to work around that. He exhaled, disliking how fate had dismantled the idea of real teamwork. Naruto fixed him with a sharp look. You're going to be late to everything, aren't you? Don't bother answering, I already know. I'll send a reinforced clone to training and show up only for missions. If you don't like it, then change. And with that, Naruto and Shiruba vanished, leaving Kakashi standing like he had seen a ghost, sensing he'd just lost something small and orange. Months later, Naruto stood at his old training field, memories flooding back. All right, Kit, let's see what you've got. He smiled at Shiruba. Hi, the fox sprinted toward a post. Kitsune style. Hydro shock? A glowing stream of water burst from his mouth, striking the wood with a crack as electricity surged through, the scent of ozone filling the air. Not bad, Naruto muttered, tilting his head. If only I could fuse my elements properly. He shook off the thought. Give me 6 shadow clones and attempt the prison field. The Kitsune drooped his ears. Two-san, I can only make 4. Naruto frowned briefly before patting the silver fur between his ears. Right, I keep forgetting. No problem. Shiruba's ears flicked. Shino-san is approaching. A moment later, the boy in glasses arrived. Naruto-san, my father asked me to deliver this scroll on Kakachu. It details the basics of handling them. He produced a sealed parchment. Naruto tucked it away. Didn't he say I shouldn't touch them yet? True, but he believes you're capable enough to begin. Also, he wishes to know if you've connected with your hive's queen. Naruto tilted his head, when suddenly a metallic voice echoed in his mind. Focus on me and I will hear you. That was easier than expected. Anything you need? He asked silently. We are ready for battle. Some of my children are nearing their end. Bring us to the elder so we may pass them on. Naruto nodded. Seems she wants me to visit your father so he can study the hive's differences. That's logical, Shino agreed. He's available now, if you'd like. Come on, Kit. Naruto glanced back at Shiruba before following Shino. Better to understand their abilities before needing them in combat. Compound / the hum of insects filled the air as Naruto entered Shibai's study. Aburame-sama. The handoff was quick. Uzumaki-san, so it is that time? Yes, my queen tells me my hive has evolved differently. She asked me to have you examine them. 10 beetles flew into his palm and settled on the desk. They're at the end of their life cycle. Shibai collected them carefully. Wait here, I'll compare them to our records. As he left, Shiruba smirked. When he comes back, you'll hear even more voices. Naruto rolled his eyes at the fox. You already talk, so I'm used to weirdness. That's because you gave me speech. True, you're welcome, Naruto smirked. The Kitsune pouted, HMPH. Worried I'll replace you, Naruto teased. He hugged the fox tightly. Not happening. A calm silence filled the room until Shibai returned, scrolls in hand. Your hive is remarkable, he said. They've become a new species, which we've named Akuma Kakachu. Your unique chakra and the seal's delay allowed them to evolve. Naruto leaned forward. So, what's different? They still consume chakra, but at higher levels. They now secrete a toxin that disrupts nerves and movement. Shibai passed him a scroll. One more question, what are your affinities? Wind and water. Shibai adjusted his glasses. That explains it. By adapting to your chakra for so long, they gained resistance to fire, produce water to counter it, and enhance their speed with wind. Naruto relayed the findings to his queen, who agreed. So your clan could change its bonding process, introducing hives earlier, letting them adapt for a year, then binding later with the seal at birth. Shibai nodded thoughtfully. Yes, you've given us a way to evolve further than ever before. The results may not be as extreme as yours, but they'll make each hive unique and strengthen our clan. Naruto grinned. Didn't expect that much change. Shibai's faint smirk was hidden beneath his collar. Even small ripples can reshape the future. That scroll contains the basic techniques our children learn when training with their hives. Compound 2 weeks later, Naruto sat quietly inside the clan's veterinary office, waiting while Hana examined Shiruba, who had been moving sluggishly and acting unusual. Beside him rested a massive scroll, the casing marked with his handwriting. You were looking for me, Naruto? Tsume asked as she stepped into the room. Standing up, he nodded. Actually, I wanted to give you this. He pushed the large scroll toward her. Catching it easily, she raised an eyebrow. And what exactly is this? Taking a deep breath, he explained. It's an alternate taijutsu form I created that works in tandem with a companion. Most of your ninkin are larger than Sharuba, but I thought of it like the academy basics, a foundation technique, except this focuses on accuracy and speed. Her brow remained arched as she unrolled the scroll across the counter, scanning through it carefully. There are a lot of similarities to our fang over fang methods, she mused, flipping through several of the moves. But it requires a heavy amount of concentration, doesn't it? Naruto nodded. Yeah. Spending time around Kiba and Hana, plus being in class with Kuraba, I noticed your clan tends to be quick-tempered and eager to dive into battle head first. He gave a shrug. Not to be rude, but that approach isn't always the best, especially since as genin, we're still developing, and so are our partners. Tsume's hand curled into a fist briefly before she let it relax. True. If my people had to hold their composure, it would cut down on raw force in their attacks. But with your version, they'd gain mobility and sharper awareness of their surroundings. A small smile touched her face. This boy just gave us a new way to evolve. Walking over, she gave him a short but warm hug before meeting his eyes. You're a rare one, Naruto. Blood ties don't matter here. You honor the spirit of the clan by doing this. His cheeks flushed lightly just as Hana returned, without Sharuba in tow. Mom, Tsume gave a knowing nod. I'll let you two talk. She took the scroll and walked out. Sharuba's going to be fine, Naruto, Hana said reassuringly. Thanks to his connection with you and his unusually large chakra reserves, he's maturing much faster than his body can keep up with. His coordination's off because he's in the middle of growing a third tail. Naruto's eyes widened. So he's all right then? Smiling, she nodded. Yes. He just needs a week of observation until the tail finishes forming and he adjusts to the change. Pulling out a smaller scroll from her vest, she tossed it to him. Also, Kakashi-senpai dropped this off earlier, said it might be useful. Naruto caught it, unrolled it, and his eyes brightened. What is this? Hana chuckled softly. I think that's his way of winning points with me. It's a guide on forming a summoning contract. She gasped when she realized. So the Hatake clan developed their own ninkin contracts, although it did alter their partners compared to ours, since the training and contract process affected them differently. Before Naruto could respond, a large shadow entered the office. A massive one-eyed hound padded in, setting a basket down gently. Inside were 4 tiny fox kits, no older than a couple weeks. Naruto-san, I believe these 4 would be safest in your hands, the hound rumbled. I found them at the forest edge. Their mother's scent had long since faded. Naruto and Hana moved closer. Her hands glowed green as she examined them, her face darkening. They haven't eaten in nearly a week, she looked up, her brown eyes meeting Naruto's blue. Naruto's expression hardened. Heal them and keep them with Sharuba. Charge me for the treatment if needed. I'll be preparing the seals I passed along to him. Once they recover, they'll be ready. Hana shook her head firmly. No need for payment. I'll give them the same supplements Sharuba had. She lifted the basket and rested a hand gently on his shoulder. Month later, Naruto sat in his apartment. 3 finished seal arrays spread across the table, along with a detailed scroll, the red-tinted ink still fresh. Sharuba, the silver fox with 3 tails, emerged, the 4 rescued kits trailing behind. Yes, Tusan. Did you finish forming a bond with them? Of course. Though I don't quite understand why you wanted it. Sharuba tilted his head curiously. Naruto smirked faintly. The same way you shared my chakra, which carried some of the Kyubai's power, now shared it with them. That makes them kitsune tied under you. He gestured at the scroll. And now that it's finished, oh Adu-san, why us? One of the smaller kits stammered. Naruto blinked at her, surprised, then chuckled softly. Guess I won't need the extra seals after all. He thought inwardly, it must be my chakra's intensity mixed with the Kyubai's influence and the strengthening seals I gave them. His smirk grew. Good thing I used the blood adoption seal and mixed their blood into the ink as well. He stood, patting each kit's head. This scroll is a summoning contract. Sharuba, you'll serve as the lead summon. The kits will grow under your guidance. Whatever changes happen from here on, we'll face them together. Now, let's activate it and finalize the contract. Sharuba nodded, placing all three tails against the sealing array. Naruto mirrored him, pressing both hands down. Their chakra surged, golden flames erupting from the scroll as the markings extended onto the foxes. The light burned brilliantly before the Kyuubi's red chakra rushed in as well, merging with the golden energy. In a flash, it collapsed back into the scroll, leaving Naruto unconscious on the floor, the contract complete. A hand shook him awake. Groaning, Naruto cracked open one eye and saw his sensei. Kakashi, you skipped sending clones the last 2 days, Kakashi explained casually. Got worried. 2 days, Naruto shot up, clutching his head. I've never been out that long, Kakashi helped him onto a chair, noticing the glowing scroll. His visible eye widened. You forged a summoning scroll, he whistled softly. That explains it. Explains what? Naruto muttered. You poured all of your chakra into it, didn't you? Naruto's mind flashed back to the overwhelming surge of red energy. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I even drew from my second reserve. Kakashi frowned inwardly. Second reserve? He doesn't mean the Kyuubi, does he? Shaking it off, he said. Either way, it's ready for you to sign. Naruto bit his thumb, wrote out his full name, and pressed his bloody fingerprints down. Should I try it here? I know a better spot. With a hand on Naruto's shoulder, Kakashi warped them to a forest clearing. Considering the changes you added, this is safer. Naruto nodded, bit his thumb again, and rushed through the hand seals. Summoning Jutsu, Sharuba. His palm struck the ground as golden symbols spread outward. Smoke exploded upward, and when it cleared, a silver three-tailed kitsune the size of a horse stood tall, the Uzumaki spiral gleaming in gold on its forehead. A deep rumbling voice spoke. Naruto, is that you riding my back? Naruto leapt off, staring at the fox's crimson eyes. Sharuba. Yeah, seems there once was a kitsune contract, but it was destroyed long ago. This new one connected me across the realm, linking me to the others. That made me their leader, even if I'm weaker for now. The elders agreed to train me after witnessing what happened. He gestured toward the sealing marks. How long will that take? Kakashi asked, mentally noting this for the Hokage. They say, if I prove as skilled as my first teacher, I could be done in 2 years. But even then, I'll still rank below the stronger ones. Naruto calculated quickly. With the time difference, that might not be too long here, Kakashi shook his head. Not that simple. Jiraiya-sama's Toad realm shifts in time unpredictably. Sometimes hours there equal days here, or vice versa. It fluctuates, Sharuba sighed. The elders plan to reverse summon you once my training ends. They also wish to meet you. His eyes drifted toward Naruto's stomach, where the Kyuubi's seal rested. Naruto smiled sadly, wrapping his arms around Sharuba's neck. I'll miss you, partner. Me too, Tusan, but at least now I'm a true summon. If I'm injured, I'll disperse instead of dying. I'll also pass down the fighting style to all summons, so you won't have to worry. Just take care of yourself. I'll return when the time is right. Brushing away a tear, he forced a grin. All right then, guess I'll just need to push myself harder so you don't slack off. His laugh was light. Sharuba gave a sharp nod before disappearing again in a puff of smoke. Listen, Naruto, I'm not ordering you, but I'd recommend holding off on calling your summons until Sharuba finishes his training. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Naruto bobbed his head. Yeah, that makes sense, and well, I guess I'll start showing up to meetings as myself. The older Jounin's single visible eye curved with a smile. Good, that means we can attempt a C-ranked mission now. The blonde tilted his head. Why only now? Kakashi shrugged. I wasn't about to let this squad handle one until you were ready to join in person. I know you've got all the memories from before, and Sasuke has started to shift his outlook, while Sakura's changed a bit too. Naruto's tone hardened. Fine, but when it comes to the Sharingan, I expect my wishes respected once he awakens it. Not that he can copy much of what I do anyway. Everything I've mastered was through my own sweat and effort. Kakashi gave a slow nod. I can't guarantee I won't duplicate something, it's just how the eye works. When it's active, it automatically records techniques. Naruto exhaled. What about moves without seals or one-handed signs? Shaking his head, Kakashi explained. No seals mean no copying, otherwise every Uchiha would have been throwing out the fourth's Rasengan. As for single-hand seals, they only copy if the user already understands them. Neither Sasuke nor I do, so it won't register. Good, Naruto muttered. Anyway, Naruto, I owe you some truths. Kakashi began recounting his time with Minato's team, then shared pieces of his own past. His voice carried on until the sun dipped low and their growling stomachs reminded them food wouldn't wait. Naruto sat through it silently at first, his face blank, but slowly his eyes softened into something close to understanding, maybe even respect, for Kakashi and for his father. His throat tightened, I think I get it, but if I'd lived through that era, I'd probably want to wipe out half the village. Still, I'll give Sasuke a chance. But I won't help him against Itachi, and I won't fight him either. I owe him too much to try killing him. Kakashi smiled, though there was more pride than joy in it. I think your parents would be proud of that choice. I know I am, and if the day ever comes, I won't fault you for standing by your decision. Naruto gave a small smirk. That's about the best deal I'll get. See you tomorrow, Kakashi-sensei. With a wave, he darted off into the trees. The next morning the blonde stepped into the training field, hands buried in his coat pockets, lips curled in a faint smirk. His clones had been holding his spot for months, but now he was here in person. His sharp blue gaze swept across his teammates. Sakura looked pitifully fragile, making him frown with disappointment. Sasuke radiated smug arrogance, the same as always since his clan's fall. Pathetic, he spat, just as he sensed movement approaching. Kakashi appeared with a swirl of leaves. Yo, you're LA, Sakura's shriek was cut short as Naruto slammed a fist down on her skull. Shut it, he growled. Unless you figure out how to weaponize that banshee screech, keep your worthless mouth shut. A faint buzz of his chakra swarm thrummed in the air. He turned to Kakashi. Mission, Kakashi sweat dropped. Well, at least he hasn't murdered them yet. Waving his hand, he sighed. All right then, I think you're ready for a C rank. The team followed, though Sakura dragged her feet while clutching her head. Naruto trailed in the back, eyes locked firmly on Sasuke. Inside the Hokage office, Naruto smirked. Hokage-sama, Hiruzen stiffened. Naruto only ever used titles when he had an agenda, and since Sasuke was still alive, that meant this truly was Naruto. Naruto-kun, Team 7. Naruto tossed a folded letter onto the desk. You might want to check that before assigning us. Confusion spread across the room. Hiruzen opened it, read the words, then let out a small chuckle with a bittersweet smile. I see. Hard to ignore the wishes of a Hokage. Wait, aren't you the Hokage? Kakashi asked. Yes, but there were 3 before me. He pulled out a scroll, unsealed a flak jacket, and tossed it to Naruto. Congratulations. You're now a Tokubetsu Chunin. Naruto slipped it under his coat with a grin. Thanks, Jiji. Sasuke erupted. Why does the Dobi get promoted? I'm an Uchiha, an elite of this village. Hiruzen's tone grew cold. You're a genin. And remember, Sasuke-kun, Naruto is the son of the 4th Hokage and related to the 1st and 2nd as well. If you insist on flaunting titles, his lineage outshines yours. On top of that, the Uzumaki name eclipses even the Uchiha, being descended from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Uzukages. A dangerous killing intent leaked into the air. Naruto smirked at Sasuke. History shows the Uchiha were always beneath the Senju. Time you learned your place. Sasuke lunged, but Kakashi restrained him. Even so, twin lashes of purple chakra cracked through the air, grazing Sasuke's cheeks. All eyes snapped to Naruto's glowing whips. Chakra lash success. The strands withdrew, leaving thin cuts beneath Sasuke's eyes. Guess my aim's off. Your eyes are still intact. The office chilled as Hiruzen slammed his fist onto the desk. Enough, Team 7 is hereby dissolved. Sakura Haruno, your performance reviews force me to expel you from the Shinobi program. He ripped away her headband. Sasuke Uchiha, your arrogance, disobedience, and unstable obsession with revenge mark you as a liability. You're entering rehabilitation until cleared. 2 ANBU appeared, seized Sasuke, and vanished. Naruto ticked a mental box. And me, Hokage-sama, the old man sighed. Your skill is too valuable to discard. You've always been clear about your stance, but no teams are available. Kakashi cleared his throat. Then I, Kakashi Hadake, formally request Uzumaki Naruto as my apprentice. Both the Hokage and Naruto looked at him. Hiruzen lit his pipe. On what grounds? As Minato Namikaze's last surviving student, I can pass on knowledge of his jutsu and style, and Naruto's abilities align with areas I can guide him in. Naruto wasn't surprised. After last night's talk, It made sense Kakashi had decided to finally do the right thing. Fine, but only if you accept a seal to control your Sharingan. Hiruzen frowned. You were going to put it on Sasuke, weren't you? Naruto nodded. It requires a specific hand sign to activate. If misused, it permanently locks the eye. Only I can undo it with my blood and chakra. The Hokage sighed heavily. Kakashi, do you accept? Kakashi's gaze was steady. Yes, the eye drains me constantly. If this works, it'll be a blessing. Naruto pulled out his tools. Let's do it now. Kakashi revealed his scarred eye. Naruto painted the seal, covering half his face before condensing it into a spiral. Elemental seal. Controlling force. The pattern glowed, then shrank around the now black eye. Kakashi blinked in shock as the drain stopped. It worked. Told you, Naruto replied smugly, demonstrating the one-handed dragon seal. Unsealing takes about the same chakra as a substitution. After 20 minutes of practice, Kakashi managed to flare the Sharingan before resealing it with ease. A hawk swooped in, dropping a scroll. Hiruzen read it quickly. Kakashi, Naruto, Team 26 needs backup. They've run into Zabuza Mamachi during a mission to Wave. Naruto's eyes lit up. That's Kuraba's squad. He glanced at Kakashi. Kakashi turned serious. Go pack. Meet me at the south gate in 20 minutes. Naruto vanished instantly. Hiruzen handed over the mission details. Kakashi nodded and left. 20 minutes later, the two sped through the gates, leaping into the trees. If we move flat out, we'll reach them in a day, Kakashi said. Naruto matched his pace. Better to stretch it over two. We'll need energy, they're probably in bad shape. Kakashi nodded. Shiro's suffering chakra burnout, your Inuzuka friend has a broken leg, and the others are badly cut up. They'll need a strong. The two blurred into the distance, racing toward Wave. Builder's residence, both figures landed lightly, crouching as they touched the ground. Naruto immediately noticed the big white-tan hound near the house. Tsumaru, where's that mangy partner of yours? He barked at the animal. The floppy-eared dog perked up. Naruto-san, he sniffed as he padded over. Kuraba's inside resting, he broke his leg running into a tree. Kakashi's eyes widened. There was no way the dog should already be speaking. Naruto glanced back at his teacher, shaking his head slightly before turning again to Tsumaru. Well, me and Kakashi are here to lend a hand, but it'll be a while before Kuraba's leg recovers. The canine guided them toward the house. I'll stay on guard, the others aren't doing well yet. Naruto frowned. You need some rest too, I'll handle it. Lifting his arms, he released 2 streams of Kakachu that spread across the property like a living net. You've done well. He dug into his pocket and pulled out one of the Inuzuka clan's treats. Tsumaru eagerly snatched it, circling once before lying down on the porch. Thank you, Naruto-san, you're a proper beta. Naruto inclined his head, understanding the meaning. Since Sharuba isn't around, I'll step in and support you when needed, Tsumaru. Just then, the door swung open to reveal a woman with shoulder-length brown hair and a pleasant face. You must be the ones Shiro-san asked for. Kakashi stepped forward. Yes, I'm Kakashi Haddock, and this is my apprentice, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto nodded slightly at the introduction. Trust was still difficult for him, but at least Kakashi was trying to change. Please, come inside. Breakfast is nearly ready, and the others should be waking up soon. She moved aside to let them enter. Naruto glanced around. The house was simple, yet carried the warmth of a home. Sensei, I'll go check on the others. Kakashi nodded. Don't push beyond what you can handle. Naruto sought out the 2 who were the least injured. His hand glowed green as he focused, healing their minor cuts and bruises. Breakfast is done, and Kakashi-sensei wants you to share everything you know with him. He woke them gently, then moved on to Kuraba. Seeing the crude wrapping on his friend's leg, Naruto sighed. Better than nothing. Carefully, he examined it, then pulled out a splint and set the bone properly. Kuraba's muffled scream made him wince. Sorry, Kira, but it had to be done. He placed a numbing seal to dull the pain. The Inuzuka boy wiped his tears. Naruto figures they'd send you, so where's that pitiful mud of yours? He teased through the pain. Naruto closed his eyes briefly. He's undergoing special training. I formed a summoning contract for him and a few kits that Koromaru found. He chuckled dryly. Turns out there once was a Kitsune contract that got destroyed. By remaking it, the Kaiju, well, it revived the old bond. Now Sharuba is being groomed to take the role of boss, since my contract overrode the broken one. Kuraba reached out and squeezed his shoulder. So he's not truly gone then, huh? Right, Naruto looked back at the leg. I can't heal bone, but it's set and I'll keep numbing the pain. His lips quirked. By the way, Tsumaru seems to think I'm your beta. If Kuraba hadn't been hurting, he'd be bright red. Oh well, Naruto smirked. I'm flattered, Kira. He stopped as Kuraba suddenly pulled him into a light kiss. Don't say anything more, please, the boy's brown eyes pleaded. Naruto flushed faintly. Fine, but when we return to the village, we'll talk about this, all right? At his friend's nod, Naruto stood. I need to check in with your sensei. Stepping out, he leaned against the door, bangs shadowing his eyes. What was that? His mind spun. He's my first real friend, my best friend. But can I? I've never thought, shaking his head, he forced the thoughts away and moved on. Opening another door, Naruto found Shiro propped up with a familiar orange book. They sent Team 7, Shiro asked from his bed. Naruto shook his head. There is no Team 7, I'm Kakashi's apprentice, just the two of us. He walked closer, hands glowing green as he examined him. Your chakra coils are strained, but the rest is healing fine. He pulled a jar from his kit. No more than 3 of these a day. They'll boost chakra regeneration but make you hungrier. Kuraba's leg needs 2 weeks of rest minimum, and Kakashi wants more detail than your message gave. Days later, Naruto and Shiro's squad stood in a clearing while Kakashi observed. All right, Shiro mentioned you were practicing your elemental affinities. He got nods. If you can master the leaf exercise in 2 days, I'll teach you a C-rank jutsu in your element. Naruto addressed them. For water, focus on the moisture in the leaf and tune your chakra to draw water from the air. For fire, since it opposes water, force your chakra against the water's presence until it evaporates. Kakashi nodded. That's the simplest approach. This will make you stronger. What about Kuraba? He won't manage this, a civilian-born girl asked. Naruto chuckled. Kuraba already mastered his natural element. He'll work on his second alongside you. Bullshit, the other teammate muttered. That idiot couldn't handle a second element. Naruto was instantly in front of him, hand at his throat. Kuraba isn't an idiot. I trained with him when I found out we shared wind as our element. Naruto, Kakashi warned. The blonde released him, reappearing back where he'd been. Sorry, sensei. It's fine, he's your friend after all. Kakashi smirked. Now get to it. If you're not exhausted by dinner, you didn't try hard enough. He turned to the lake. Naruto, you and I will spar. No seals for you, no sharingen for me. I want to see your true level without your partner. Naruto's eye twitched at the comment. If I knew this would happen, I'd never have signed that contract, he muttered, stepping onto the water. You sure about this? Water's my secondary affinity. Purple chakra threads spread from his fingers across the surface. You may have unusual advantages, but that doesn't compare to years of battle experience, Kakashi replied, stowing his book. Don't let arrogance rule you. Overconfident shinobi end up dead. Without warning, both disappeared, their clash echoing across the water. Waves thrashed violently as their battle raged, occasionally revealing their positions before blurring again. 2 hours later, a blonde blur slammed into a tree. Kakashi nodded. Not bad, but paused as Naruto's body dissolved into beetles. You're caught in my tide, Naruto's voice rang out as the water glowed with chakra. Uzumaki. Wave of 1,000 crashes. He shot across the lake, spiraling faster and faster, creating a vortex of water infused with chakra. Wave after wave smashed into Kakashi, forcing him down. Uzumaki. Whirlpool devastation. The vortex collapsed with explosive force, swallowing the Jonin beneath. Kakashi dragged himself up, coughing on the surface. You fight like Kushina. He stood shakily. Impressive, though not quite at her level. Break time. Your taijutsu matches a Chunin, maybe better technically, but you're still too young to wield her style fully. Limping ashore, he slumped down. Naruto followed, clutching his ribs with a grimace. If not for my guest, those hits would have finished me. He spat blood. Kakashi chuckled. True, but those chakra whips of yours are remarkable. Naruto yawned. Yeah, thanks to my Uzumaki heritage and reserves, chakra strings can become something else entirely. Kakashi nodded, drained. I still owe you for the past. Tomorrow I'll teach you 2 techniques your parents created. They're hard but within your reach. Naruto blinked. Which ones? The Rasengan, your father's creation, And your mother's chakra saber. I can't perform the second without her bloodline, but I know the theory. Seeing your chakra whips, it shouldn't take you long to figure it out. Naruto flopped back with a deep exhale. Guess tomorrow's going to be interesting.